It's the IFL Game of the Week on Stadium. We're back in beautiful Sioux Falls, South Dakota for a marquee matchup. Two of the best indoor football organizations ever. The Arizona Rattlers take on the Sioux Falls Storm. Happy to have you along with us from the Denny Sanford Premier Center. Chris Clayton and IFL Hall of Famer Rich Rosti here with you. This is everything you could hope for in a national game of the week. These teams have won championship, they've won a ton of games, and they've gone against each other toe-to-toe a lot. This is everything you could hope for in a big-time matchup.
These two coaches, 452 wins between them. Last time they played was in the United Bowl 2019. Storm was victorious, and now the Rattlers want to avenge that loss.
And Sioux Falls also wants to avenge how they started last week. An 0-1 start to the season for the Storm. Last week at home in this very facility, a 56-36 loss to the Iowa Barnstormers.
Coach Riggs expressed his disapproval of his team in many different social media posts during the course of this week. The one bright spot, Nate Shavius scored 3 rushing touchdowns for the Sioux Falls Storm. But on the other side of the ball, the Barnstormers came into this facility and Jaquan Neal found his receivers open and open a lot. Sioux Falls Storm struggled defensively, gave up blown coverages, and you could see it on the face of Coach Riggs. He was not happy with his ball club.
He really called out his team. He said that he wanted to see a better effort this week. On the other side for the Rattlers, Arizona really happy with where they're at. They were really impressive in their Week 1 win, 51-20 at Northern Arizona.
They went up there and took care of business, and Drew Powell, what a gifted athlete, what a great passing arm, finds his receivers, also found a running back in the name of Lassane, and he just was outstanding carrying the football. Arizona has all of the weapons defensively also. Here they go into the end zone, rushing the ball. Defensively, big hit coming up in the backfield. Yeah, Arizona has the whole package.
Defense was dominant, forcing turnovers, getting a safety as well, and Nick Latsane had those 3 touchdowns. Going to be a big-time matchup here. Arizona number 1 in the coaches poll in Week 5 in the IFL. Sioux Falls sitting at number 4. They're both sure to be in the mix at the end of the year for the United Bowl. All right, we're getting close to kickoff. When we come back, we'll get you set. Arizona and Sioux Falls here in the IFL Game of the Week on Stadium.
Hi, I'm Michael Kim back in our stadium studios. We will get you back out to your game in Sioux Falls in just a moment. But first, we want to give you the opportunity to play, watch, and win great prizes by signing up now at watchstadium/YouMakeTheCall. You'll be able to engage like never before within an IFL gamified experience through prediction-based games, poll questions, and more. Prizes include IFL tickets, team merchandise, and VIP experiences. The grand prize winner at the end of the season will win a trip for two to the 2021 IFL Championship game. Throughout the season, the gamified experience will intensify with more opportunities to win. Tonight's prediction-based experience will lock in a few minutes after kickoff. So now is the best time to go to watchstadium.com/YouMakeTheCall. Enjoy the game, everyone, and I'll see you back at the half.
It's the Indoor Football League Game of the Week on Stadium, Arizona and Sioux Falls here at the Denny Sanford Premier Center. Last time these two teams faced off, the 2019 United Bowl, and it was a wild finish down the stretch. Came down to the wire, a 56-53 victory for that game, in that game for the Storm. And Rich, you were there, you called that, and that was a pretty unbelievable finish there down the stretch, and an intentional penalty taken by Sioux Falls. Can you kind of explain what you remember about that finish?
Ball was inside the 5-yard line, down at the goal line. Sioux Falls Storm look like they're disarrayed, looks like they're getting late, they're getting back to the ball, or even got their center rushing up there, and they get up there and they take a 5-yard penalty, which is to their advantage, because then the linebacker has to be 5 yards off. Sioux Falls Storm, Lorenzo Brown is able to just go off the right side of his center. The clock keeps going. All of that was orchestrated by the Storm. Both of these coaches will do things like that in the course of a game. I can't wait to see what Coach Guy has planned for tonight.
How about that? An orchestrated intentional penalty by Sioux Falls helped them win the championship after Arizona took that United Bowl championship over Sioux Falls in 2017. The two winningest coaches in indoor football history, Curtis Riggs and Kevin Guy, toe-to-toe. And we are ready to kick things off here in the IFL Game of the Week on Stadium. It's Ernesto Lacayo to boot it deep as Sioux Falls will receive the kickoff. Nate Chaviot's a dangerous return man. Bottled up well, though, by Arizona, as he's able to get it up to the 10-yard line to start things off for the Sioux Falls offense.
The thing about a good special teams is that you have to stay in your lanes, and Arizona Rattlers very disciplined, staying in their lanes as they go down. They corral the kick returner and bring him down. Here's our starting lineups. Look at Chris Mcallis on the left side there for the Arizona Rattlers. He's going to be a key. Lorenzo Brown offensively. And look for Damien Ford. He's a very critical receiver for the Storm.
It's a Sioux Falls offense that put up 36 points last week with one of the most experienced players in the entire IFL, Lorenzo Brown at quarterback. But they've got a tall task in this game, going against a Rattlers defense that was dominant last week in the Rattlers win at Northern Arizona. They were able to force some early turnovers and also had a safety. First plays for Sioux Falls, the run play to Nate Chavius. He's able to burst through and pick up about 5 yards on his first tote.
Montavious Atkinson on the stop out of Auburn University. Attended Auburn where he played 49 games for the Tigers, and you can see how well he played and covered that run. Good shoulder, arm wrap-up tackle. 2nd and 5.
Chavius was big time last week, 66 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns. And the first pass play gets across midfield for Sioux Falls as Lorenzo Brown put it on the money to the wideout Alonzo Moore in his 3rd season with the Storm out of Nebraska.
One of the big problems the Sioux Falls Storm had against the Iowa Barnstormers was dropped balls, and Moore had one of them at least. It was good to see him bring that one in, and he makes it down into Rattler territory.
13 yards on the pass play, a quick pitch left side to Chavius. And look at the moves in the open field for him as he's able to get to the 16-yard line. Gain of about 6 yards for Chavius, and that's something that head coach for Sioux Falls, Curtis Riggs, talked about. Is I was actually surprised at how well he was able to play in the open field. Coach Riggs said, I knew he was strong, but he was also very agile in that first game last week.
No doubt about it. He had 66 yards on 11 carries.
He's a guy that they're leaning on a lot this year in the run game. This time they go on the right side to Shepard, and he's near a first down for Sioux Falls.
And they're going to award the first down, and you'll see this play out of the Sioux Falls Storm, quite a bit of toss sweep around the right side, getting his wide receivers involved with ball carrying. So it keeps the defense honest as far as who they're going to cover on the run.
Coach Riggs, one of the top coaches in IFL history. Last week inducted into the Indoor Football League Hall of Fame. He's the winningest coach in league history as well, in indoor football period history with 240 wins. There's a flag on the play on that successful run play for the Storm. This one could be coming back. Our official tonight is Brad Bunting.
I think this flag is going to come against Damien Ford. He was blocking on the point of attack, and he held. And this one's coming back.
Number 1, 10-yard penalty, previous spot. Replay, first down.
So we'll be coming back.
And Damien Ford was trying to get a hook block on his outside cornerback, and you could just see that he was holding on to him, and it was an easy call for the officials. Storm would have had the ball down inside the 10-yard line, and now they're going to be forced back all the way out to the 22.
There's a first down available right at about the 2-yard line. So it is a first and about 21 for Sioux Falls. Brown takes the snap, and he'll go to Chavius up the middle. And he's botted up near the line of scrimmage. That was a nice play by Trayvon Williams in his first year with Arizona, able to chop down Chavius, and that's a guy that head coach Kevin Guy is really excited about.
You know, as a linebacker, that's his responsibility, but he did a great job. He wasn't able to get the big hit, but he was able to take down, get the ankle tackle, and had the strength to pull down that ball carrier, setting up 2nd and long.
Trayvon Williams in his second season in the IFL. He was an all-IFL selection in 2019 as a member of the Iowa Barnstormers. A catch and a broken tackle by JoJo Gauss, and he's in for the touchdown.
That was a beautiful touchdown pass and a great run at the end, but it would not have happened. It had not been for a great block at that offensive line as the Sioux Falls Storm watched the offensive tackle on that right side. He slipped off of one block and picked up another, and that allowed Lorenzo Brown to pick up extra time, and he was able to find Gauss, and that was probably the best offensive series the Sioux Falls Storm had since last week. They didn't have very many that were that effective.
It's the first catch of the season for JoJo Gauss. That's a touchdown. On 2nd and 18, as the Storm were able to strike first. Now Chase Vinatieri, his kick is through. The defense may have gotten a piece of it, but the extra point goes through the uprights as we have a flag on the play. So we will check the flag.
Chase struggled last week. He was 3 of 5 point after touchdowns, 1 of 2 on field goals, and here's Brad Bunting.
Result of the play, the PAT is good. There's no penalty on the play for roughing the kicker. The ball was tipped.
So there you go. What a start for Sioux Falls here in the IFL Game of the Week on Stadium. 7-0 start. Lorenzo Brown to JoJo Gauss. An early touchdown for the Storm at home. Back in Sioux Falls, the Denny Sanford Premier Center. The Storm have had a lot of success in this facility. First started playing here in 2015, and they're off to a great start here as they start off the season with back-to-back home games. JoJo Gauss with a 20-yard touchdown reception for Sioux Falls.
And Adam Sheffield with a great block of that offensive line, slipped off his original contact, got out to the outside, gave Lorenzo Brown extra time. Good block, offensive lineman.
Chase Vinatieri will kick it away. Keeps it on the ground with a bit of a squib. This one will go all the way to the wall, trying to get it out of the end zone for Rouge and Sioux Falls. What a start for the Storm.
Famous Asti got in there to tackle for the Rouge. That's a 1 point for the Sioux Falls Storm as they'll lead 8-0. But those kicks, when they are around the ground, as you know, football does not roll straight. And the Storm coverage team took advantage of it. Also there on the stop defensively was Solomon St. Pierre.
It was Jeremiah Harris, the return man. Now it's trying to get it out of the end zone. Famous Hasty in on the tackle for Sioux Falls. If you're unfamiliar with indoor football, just as Rich explained, if you're not able to get out of your own end zone on a kickoff there, it is a Rouge which awards 1 point to the kicking team. In this case, it's Sioux Falls. Here's Drew Powell. He'll run for a big-time gain across midfield all the way down to the 17-yard line. First play from scrimmage for Arizona goes for a big-time gain.
Drew Powell, 6'3", 220 pounds with a great throwing motion. Coach Guy changes things up. It was a designed quarterback draw, veered to the left and cut across traffic, and the Sioux Falls Storm had overcompensated to the right side. Powell picked up great yardage, threatening to score. Ball's at the 16-yard line.
Give Powell 29 yards on the carry, a former IFL MVP back in 2018 with Iowa. This time he'll throw over the middle of the field, and it's picked off in the goal line, or right at the goal line, I should say. An interception for Brandon Rowe in his second year with the Storm out of Valdosta State.
Beautiful job defensively, reading the eyes of the quarterback, anticipating where that football is coming. He stepped right in front of the defenders. He tried to get it to Miles, and then he did the smart thing. Rather than getting tackled deep, he just went right down. Storm have it at the 5-yard line. So from what I've seen just in this is a different ball club attitude-wise for the Sioux Falls Storm compared to what they played last week against the Iowa Barnstormers.
Unbelievable start for Curtis Riggs' team. They get a quick touchdown drive, a Rouge, and then an interception by Brandon Rowe, and Lorenzo Brown in the Storm offense already back out on the field.
The thing about it, though, Arizona's down by 8 points. Coach Guy is a very patient man. This isn't going to rattle him. He's just going to go back to his game plan and take care of business. It's a long way to go before this one's going to be over.
Sioux Falls with a loss last week on this field to Iowa, 56-36. That one got away from him in the fourth. Off to a great start this time. Brown trying to run. He'll get only a yard as he is bottled up quickly near the line of scrimmage.
Making a stop defensively, Powell, and out of University of Oklahoma, 6'6", 395 pounds, 295 pounds, and what a force he is. Dylan Famatoa. And you wanted to say that one earlier, didn't you?
Fama'atu. That's when you practice,
okay.
and then you want to be able to show off. He's been his first year with Arizona, and he helped Oklahoma win some Big 12 championships. Debuting in the IFL and doing a nice job. Brown is pressured, lobs it downfield, and a safe throw. And a souvenir for the fans, as Brown just knew he needed to get rid of that football.
Defensively for the Arizona Rattlers, immediately got pressure coming from their left side, the right side of the offense for the Sioux Falls Storm. Brown didn't have a chance. It's going to set up third down and about 9 yards to go after the turnover, but good pressure. And that's going to be a key. Coach Guy talked about it when we had our conversation with him, that he was really pleased with both his offensive and defensive lines going into this second week of football.
And he's got such an experienced quarterback in Lorenzo Brown in his 10th season with Sioux Falls. You don't see that often in indoor football, to have a long-tenured player like that. But they've got that in Brown at quarterback. And a timeout already early in this game. Riggs wants to talk things over. A 3rd and 9 for Sioux Falls back at their own 6-yard line when we come back.
With teams from coast to coast and growing, we are the Indoor Football League. The IFL is the nation's longest continuously running pro indoor football league, and we want you to get in on the action. Visit goifl.com to watch games, learn about our players and coaches, and click on your favorite team's site for tickets and official team merchandise. Follow us on social media and visit goifl.com.
A tailgate outside the Denny Sanford Premier Center. A beautiful summer day in Sioux. I guess technically not summer yet, but a beautiful spring day in Sioux Falls. Fans enjoying themselves before the game and also during the game here inside the Premier Center, with the way Sioux Falls and Curtis Riggs' team have started this game out.
Great drive to start it off. Nice pass. Gets the Rouge. Gets an interception. Now let's see if the Sioux Falls Storm can capitalize on it, or the defense of the Arizona Rattlers shuts this down and gives their offense the ball.
Brown already with 53 pass yards and a touchdown. Backed up here. Pressured and taken down in the backfield. That play absolutely blown up by Trayvon Williams in his first year with the team from Florida International.
There just was no time for Lorenzo Brown. He pumped once, but coming in there makes that Trayvon Williams outstanding linebacker play. Beat two guys getting into the ball carrier, Lorenzo Brown.
And Williams is making a big impact early, and Coach Guy is really excited about his future. He said he had some big hits last week in the win at Northern Arizona. Once he learns the system, he's going to be an even better linebacker for the Rattlers, and he's having a fantastic game so far.
Fans new to the indoor football game, there is no punting. You have to either go for a 4th down or you have to kick a field goal. Chase Vinatieri is on to kick a long one, 8-yard end zones, and this looks like it's going to be about a close to 60.
Could see him just boot it safely into the stands here. He will try and make this one, but it will be short. It's picked up by Harrington for Arizona. An incredibly dangerous return man across midfield. Off the spin move. Great field position for Arizona down to the 18-yard line.
And that's one of the things that you talked about, Chris, is kicking it out of bounds, not to give them a return coming back, the Arizona return coming back. That's exactly what they got. They wanted it, and they got a big return. And instead of having a situation where the Storm had the ball at the 5-yard line, now Arizona weathered the storm, was patient, and now they have it back in striking territory inside the 20.
So Arizona got down early, taking a deep breath and trying to get some points on the board. One of the most successful indoor organizations of all time. They won championships in the Arena Football League and in the IFL as well in 2017, as Harrington is slammed into the stands and thrown back out of the field. by one of the fans down there.
Yeah, there's a saying here, keep the football, but you got to throw the players back.
Take a look at the strength of this fan here. Well, he threw him back on the field, and he decided to flex for the crowd as well. Drew Powell, the quarterback for Arizona, with big-time game last week. 51 points on the board for the Rattlers at the Wranglers. He had 3 touchdowns in that victory. The first and goal for his team, trying to get points on the board. They run it right side, and it's a touchdown. Daryl Monroe, who didn't play at all last week, a long-time Rattler running back for the score.
When we talked to Coach Guy, he said that Daryl Moore was back, and he might work both of them into the game tonight. Daryl Moore just absolutely lit up the storm a couple of years ago, and then went down in an injury in that championship game. But what an outstanding runner, 6'2", 225-pounder out of Arizona Western, and he is a force. And so we're back to almost square one right now. Arizona not going to go for the 2.
Monroe in his 3rd season with the Rattlers, 2nd-team IFL in 2019, but it was Nick Lassane for the Rattlers last week who had 3 touchdowns. Couple good running backs for Arizona. Lacayo's kick is through. 8-7 our score. The Rattlers with a defensive stop and an answer the other way. A strong run from Daryl Monroe thanks to a big-time hole, and Arizona able to answer. Back in Sioux Falls, it's the IFL Game of the Week on Stadium. Off to a great start. Back and forth we go early on in this game. It was 8-0 early for Sioux Falls coming up. They're able to get the stop and get the football back, drive it down the field for a touchdown.
Special teams, Special teams, a huge factor. Defense held. Sioux Falls had to kick a long field goal, wind up Arizona gets a great field goal missed field goal return and sets them up in scoring position. Then Daryl Monroe, what an addition he's going to make in this game with both he and Lassane.
Monroe ran it in from about 7 yards out for the score. A deep kick, backing up Chavius to the pads there, and he's able to dive out across the 10-yard line and safely up to the 11.
Devin Cockrell fought off a block, went down, and got back up again and made the tackle. This is how you play special team. Watch, number 27 right there. Goes up, makes the tackle, brings him down. Storm starting back at own 11-yard line. And things get a little bit chippy. These teams, even though a lot of the players haven't played each other before, they know about the passion between these two ball clubs and the rivalry that's been established over these past 4 years.
Arizona and Sioux Falls have played each other twice in United Bowls, in 2017 and in 2019. They also played in the postseason in 2018. So these teams, even though Arizona's only been in the IFL since 2017, they've essentially become rivals because they've been two of the best and oftentimes play each other late. Brown going to throw downfield. He's got Gauss again. Touchdown, Storm.
Well, you can't write it up or execute it any better. Lorenzo Brown had protection, and Gauss just ran a perfect route, got behind his defender. Lorenzo Brown laid it out, but look at the protection that Brown has, and he just lays out a pretty spiral in stride, and Winfrey didn't have a chance to catch up to that one.
39-yard touchdown. JoJo Gauss, 2 catches this season, both for touchdowns in this game. He didn't catch the ball at all last week. Him and Lorenzo Brown on the same page here in the first quarter.
Nice big receiver, 6'3", 220.
And now Vinatieri will come out to try and convert an extra point. As you mentioned, Rich, he struggled at times last week. 3 for 5 on PATs. And that's my fault. Probably jinxed him there as that one is pushed to the right. Sioux Falls, though, still with a 14-7 lead in the IFL Game of the Week here on Stadium. You Make the Call is live at watchstadium.com/YouMakeTheCall. Join in on the gamified experience through prediction-based questions and more. Play, watch, and win great prizes like IFL tickets, team merchandise, and VIP experiences. It's never too late to sign up. It's a season-long experience at watchstadium.com/YouMakeTheCall. Chris Clayton and Rich Rosti here with you for this IFL Game of the Week. A great crowd on hand. It's been a fun game so far. Exactly what you want when you watch the Indoor Football League. Offense, action, up and down the field.
For folks that have not seen indoor football, they'll notice there are no nets hanging down at the end of each side of the goalposts, and there is much more running of the football. There's more defenses that the secondary can use. It's more like traditional football and played 8 players. 2 can be in motion offensively, and it's still just 27 yards wide. You're playing it on a hockey rink with 8 guys, outstanding players. Many of these have had NFL tryouts.
Terry keeps it on the ground again. This resulted in a rouge last time. This time Harris quick to get it out of the end zone. The Storm special teams, though, all over him again as he's taken down at the 6-yard line.
Well, I got to hand it to Harris. He was dead to rights at about the 3-yard line, somehow salvaged out to about the 5 or 6. Very quick on his feet. As you watch him make a move, gets back up after going down, and then the Storm finally corral him and bring him down at about the 6. But a good job done on both sides of the ball.
So the Rattlers, last time they had the football, a quick touchdown drive. Back from their own 5-yard line. Here's Daryl Monroe again. Out across midfield, and he's still going. Stumbling and down to the 15-yard line.
Oh, man, what some blocking by that offensive line of the Arizona Rattlers, as Monroe, a great big ball carrier, had a huge open cut inside. Then it was back across grain as he stiff-armed and eluded another tackle. This guy came off a major knee injury 2 years ago, and he looks absolutely stellar thus far in this contest.
Monroe was at a point in which, during the COVID year in 2020, he had gained a lot of weight. He was up to about 240 pounds, and the Rattlers weren't sure if they were going to bring him back, but he's slimmed back down. He's back in shape, and despite that knee injury, Rich, that you mentioned.
Offense, number 78, 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
As the Rattlers are pushed back, despite that knee injury, Arizona actually feels like Monroe was in the best shape he's ever been.
And he has been an outstanding runner, and he is so hard to bring down. He's tall, lanky, he's got great hands. He can fight you off that way. He can run right over you. One of the biggest things that they talk about when you play against him, when you hit him, you just hope he doesn't drag you too far.
It's already a touchdown from 7 yards out, and he has 37 yards rushing in this game. Powell going to throw this time for Harrington, and they will get back to the original line of scrimmage. This is complete for a pickup of 5 yards.
You know, sometimes you just take what you can get. This pass was a little bit low. They picked up the yardage. Did a great job, Harrington, coming back to the ball and getting both hands on it to make the reception, and it sets up a positive play. Now they're at 2nd down and 10.
He's the reigning IFL most improved player. Jared Harrington really burst onto the scene as a great target for this Rattlers team. In 2018, he only had 12 catches, but he burst onto the scene in 2019, leading the team in receiving yards and also a stellar return man. There's a completion over the middle of the field. That's in stride to Jamal Miles as he's down to the 7-yard line.
You know, this is the thing we talked about, Coach Guy and Coach Riggs coming up with different twists. This time they ran a stack receivers way up against the board, so it limits the movement for the defense. And immediately the inside receiver went a crossing route, and Powell just was able to put it right in his hand. It was a great design play by head coach Kevin Guy.
3rd down and a couple for Arizona. Right side, they go back to Monroe, inside the 5, spinning, scrapping at the goal line. I think he fumbled the football here. The official's right on it, and Sioux Falls has the football.
When the scrum clears, we'll get an indication of who made that fumble recovery. Coach Guy right down there. But coming up with the football, St. Pierre, right out of Sioux Falls, University of Sioux Falls here in town. The second turnover of the contest, the other an interception. Storm was not able to capitalize on that, and they'll have the ball at about a tougher situation at about the 1-yard line.
And Rich, how about this Sioux Falls defense? Coach Riggs was really blunt about how the defense played last week, but they forced 2 turnovers in this game already.
Monroe tried to put the ball over his shoulder to extend it across the goal line, but coming in there was Marquise Hendricks. Knocked it out.
Gave up 56 points last week to Iowa. Blew some coverages, made some mistakes, but they have locked in here against an Arizona offense that scored 51 last week. A broken tackle and a near 1st down. That almost was a huge gain for Alonzo Moore, but a fresh set of down for the Storm.
Getting up kind of slow for the Arizona Rattlers, Braxton Haley, who had first contact. Either that or he's disgusted with himself, but he went down after making first contact. You'll see it here. And it just took him a while to get back up. But again, like you said, Chris, Moore about had a big one, but good job done by those linemen following the play.
Already 82 yards passing for Lorenzo Brown Jr. after last week throwing for 113 the entire game. He kept it this time on 1st down. Bounces off the pile, still scrapping for yards. Tough running to the 20. 8 yards for Brown.
You know, Lorenzo Brown, at 33 or 34 years old, 10th year in the league. He led the University of Sioux Falls to a national championship. Started out here, and we'll talk more about him as the game goes on.
I'll do it for the first quarter. It's been a good one. Sioux Falls playing well at home. The Storm lead the Rattlers 14-7 in the IFL Game of the Week on Stadium. Falls here on Stadium. It's time now for the fan of the game. We have 3 fans for you to vote on. Here's fan number 1. Take a look at that, throwing Harrington back on the field, flexing for the crowds as well. You can make your choice at Stadium on Twitter and vote for your choice in the poll. Here's fans number 2. They're fired up and ready to go. They're kind of sitting alone, isolated there, but they're fired up for this game. And he's wearing a kilt. I mean, you can't beat that. That's always a good choice.
Oh, no doubt about it. I know that guy. He's been a fan of the Sioux Falls Storm for a very long time. He's been wearing the kilt for the last several years. It's going to be an interesting vote.
Again, at Stadium on Twitter, put in your vote for the fan of the game. We will reveal that in the 4th quarter. Curtis Riggs' squad lost last week to Iowa 56-36, but a nice first quarter in front of their home fans this time around. They've forced 2 turnovers so far. Lorenzo Brown Jr. with a couple touchdown passes to JoJo Gauss. Some confusion to start off this second quarter for the Storm offense. And they did not get the playoff. Kevin Guy was all over it from the sideline for Arizona, yelling out, hey, that's a delay of game.
Delay game, offense, number 8, 5-yard penalty, remains, 2nd down.
And he was right.
Sioux Falls Storm used a timeout in that first quarter. They have 2 remaining. Rattlers have all 3 of theirs starting the second quarter. But you're right, Chris, that Sioux Falls disorganized to start this second quarter. Coach Riggs wants to have consistency. And when you get out of your rhythm, that's one of the biggest problems that an offense will have, of getting back in the rhythm. And the defense of Arizona, that's what they prey on.
Second and about 7 for Sioux Falls. Brown having a lot of success through the air today, and he just overthrew his man Moore for an incompletion that time.
Good block done by the running back, Nate Chavius, as the linebacker came on the delayed blitz. And I believe that was coming in there was Trayvon Williams. But good job done by a running back, and that's one of the responsibilities for that running back. If he stays, he's got that charging linebacker, and it's very often very much a size mismatch. But Chavius did a good job. Lorenzo Brown couldn't make the reception. Good coverage defensively for the Rattlers.
Third down now for Sioux Falls. The 2 receivers come in motion. Brown is pressured, got rid of it. Wide open completion for a first down right at midfield to Brandon Shepard, the all-IFL wide receiver. Able to pull it in a key conversion that time.
One thing that all IFL players, they know where the sticks are. They get just enough for that first down. Get down the low pass by Lorenzo Brown. Nobody's going to pick that off. And sliding for the first down. Now that sets up the Storm in a much better position. 1st and 10 at the midfield stripe to 25.
And there's a player shaken up, and he'll be escorted off the field here quickly. That is Shepard, who just made the catch. No, excuse me, that's Alonzo Moore. So he was not involved in the reception. Doesn't look like he's in too much pain, but the official took a timeout to make sure that that was taken care of. 90 yards passing for Lorenzo Brown Jr. against this Rattlers defense. Arizona's offense hasn't helped that defense out with a couple turnovers. Give it to Chavius, trying to get around the edge, breaking through arm tackles and pinned up to the pads for a gain of 8 yards. Nate Chavius.
The rules for out of bounds of indoor football are a ball carrier can push himself into the boards and keep on running, but if he is pushed in by a defender, the play is dead against the walls. So it wasn't dead until the final hit that was hit there by Williams created the play being over.
Chavius with 66 yards rushing on 11 carries last week, 19 yards on the ground so far in this game. They'll toss it left side to Damien Ford. Nowhere to go as he is slammed down into the pads.
Damien Ford really never got a chance to get that one going. Arizona to the attack as going in there. Great job done by getting in there with Atkinson as he blew that play up earlier. Then finishing things up there was Cockrell. When you get bodies to the point of the attack early like Arizona did, your chances of success are great. And Coach Guy, very much a defensive-minded coach. He's both the offensive and defensive coordinator.
So they gave Ford a yard on that run play. Pitch left side. Chavius has the first down, not a whole lot more, but it is enough to keep this drive going for Sioux Falls. Chavius lost his helmet.
Well, he lowered his shoulder on DJ Williams, and Chavius had a bit of a better outcome and picked up the first down, but he lost his hat in the process. Checking into the ballgame for the Rattlers, Chris Mcallis. And he's in his 5th season with the Rattlers, making him, he's the longest tenured player with the Arizona Rattlers. Mcallis out of Baylor University, number 31.
So another great start for Chavius, averaging more than 5 yards per carry.
You know, looking at this drive currently for the Sioux Falls Storm, you know, after they've had the successes that they've had, you know, you'd think that they'd be a quick strike offense, maybe put it up on top, but the patience that they're showing is kind of interesting, and a timeout's going to be called on the field.
14-7 our score. The Storm want to talk things over with 11:15 left here in the second quarter. The IFL Game of the Week on Stadium. In beautiful Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Beautiful in the summer, really beautiful all times of year. Chris Clayton and Rich Rosti here with you on Stadium. Rich, you've lived in Sioux Falls for a long time now. It's the most populous city in the state of South Dakota, but also a great community for sports too.
It is. They have 3 different professional sports teams: basketball, hockey, actually 4, baseball, and the Sioux Falls Storm. Great fans here.
And they've been one of the most successful organizations in the IFL for a long time, with 7 championships, trying to avoid getting off to a rare 0-2 start. Big time hit in the backfield that time, by Mcallis.
We talked about Mcallis coming in there, and he made a statement. He's frustrated right now with the Rattlers being down, but he gets in on Lorenzo Brown, and he puts an extra push of his arm into Lorenzo Brown to bring him down, just to make a statement to Sioux Falls that he's on the prowl. After that loss, going to set up second down and about 14.
And Mcallis, the longest tenured defensive player on this team. He was with the Houston Texans in the 2014 NFL preseason. Big time defensive player for the Rattlers. Brown will throw on second and long for the end zone, and he just missed Brandon Shepard at the goal line.
Byron Evans, the second, out of Northern Arizona, was putting tons of pressure on Lorenzo Brown. Brown just basically had to toss that one to get rid of it. And that's the thing that Arizona has been doing. They're getting in on pressuring Lorenzo Brown. Their defense is picking it up a notch. So many times, don't you see this, Chris? If a team is down, there has to be somebody that steps forward, and it's the best thing for the defense, as they are doing it by Arizona.
Now a 3rd and 14, an obvious passing down here for Sioux Falls. Brad Bunting, the lead official there with the white cap, talking things over near the sideline, and now he comes out to signal we're ready to go for Sioux Falls offense. Brown Jr. for the Storm, 5 of 9, 92 yards and a couple touchdowns. He's got time. He's going to take off. Needs 14 yards. Oh, big time hit. Pummeled by Montavious Atkinson.
That was big time leather being leveled against Lorenzo Brown. Lorenzo Brown did a good job getting what he could, but now the Rattlers have stopped the drive. And you will see these ebbs and flows during the course of the game, and the Rattlers are working to get that momentum back, and a big hit by Atkinson there is a sure way to get your teammates fired up.
He's in his first season in the IFL, played 49 career games at Auburn, where he started as a safety, switched to linebacker, excelled there, and now making an impact for the Rattlers. Vinatieri's kick is right down the middle. A beautiful boot from Chase Vinatieri, and Sioux Falls with a 17-7 2-possession lead here at home. Back at the Denny Sanford Premier Center. Toby Keith played here earlier this week. They had to clear off the stage for that concert, bring in the football field. The crew here did a fantastic job getting it ready to go for the Storm. And the players came out ready as well.
In that last point after touchdown, Lorenzo Brown did a great job. The snap was off to the side and on the deck, and he was able to right it and get a good placement for the kicker, Vinatieri.
Vinatieri's kick will go into the crowd off the right side. A lot of souvenirs for fans, players, footballs, everything going into the stands so far in this game. Ball went out untouched, so the ball will be placed at the 20-yard line. Really nice field position by Rule on that kick for Arizona.
Now, if Arizona would kick another one out of bounds, then the ball would be placed at the 25 and would be continually placed there on the 25 for any ball that went out of bounds. So the first one is placed at the 20, the next one would be at the 25 if they would in fact kick it out of bounds at that time.
The Arizona offense right now with a Daryl Monroe touchdown from 7 yards out. That's their only point so far. That time Monroe is bottled up in the backfield for the loss of a yard.
Daquan Harvin, defensive lineman out of Weber International, got in the brought down Monroe from the backside, and that's about the only way that you can get it. If he's stymied for a minute, and know that defensive end, he got there before Monroe was stopped.
So now 3 carries, 36 yards from Monroe. Finally able to stop the run. Powell steps forward and completes it inside the 15. Knocked up onto the boards. It's Troy Pelletier in his first season in the IFL. The biggest receiver the Rattlers have, standing at 6'3", able to make the catch.
Third-year player out of Lehigh University, and he is the only All-Patriot League team player for 4 straight years. And he didn't play in their game last week, and we were just kind of wondering if he would see some action because Coach Guy had told us he's looking for bringing and utilizing taller wide receivers. Pelletier at 6'3".
Got a lot of shorter guys like Harrington at 5'9". Pelletier, by far the biggest, bringing a physical presence. That was a strong run down inside the 5-yard line.
And that's what I talked about earlier. When you hit Daryl Monroe, you just hope he doesn't drag you too far. And that time he did drag defenders 3 and 4 yards down inside the 5-yard line. Sets up a first down, or is it not? No, it's going to be second down and about 3.
About a 6-yard gain there for Monroe. 4 carries, 42 yards for the big bruising back who's been a staple for Arizona for years.
He just looks like a man among boys standing in that backfield.
Go right back to him, why not? Flag on the play near the goal line, and he's short, but we will check the flag. Right at about the half-yard line. If that stands, it'll be a first down for Arizona. And the Rattlers seem to think this is going against Sioux Falls.
Well, the flag was thrown in the defensive secondary, so you have to be thinking that possibly going to be defensive holding over there. But Monroe, he is just such a force, and he gets a couple of those big linemen, you know, like Lamar Mady or Jahir Jones in front of him.
Legal defense, number 41, inside the belt at the snap. That penalty be declined. Result of play is a first down at the 1-yard line, 1st and goal.
And what they're talking about with that belt, it's 5 yards off the line of scrimmage. Defensively, the linebackers cannot be inside of that 5 yards, and that's an illegal defense.
Yeah, and that was Hendricks. That was inside the belt. But a fresh set of downs anyway, thanks to the strong run by Monroe. They go to Powell, and he sneaks it in for the touchdown. The Rattlers with a chance to tie it as Drew Powell powers his way into the end zone.
Well, Sioux Falls leading in this contest right now, 17-13. And I don't believe that Kevin Guy is going to be chasing those 2-point conversions until you get later on in the game, because both of these coaches have that philosophy. Don't chase the 2-pointers until you absolutely have to.
Yeah, don't have a chance to tie it yet, obviously. But Powell with a big-time drive. Arizona needed that, marching it right down the field. It's a vintage Arizona versus Sioux Falls matchup, it feels like, as we go back and forth. Lacayo's kick is good. The Rattlers back down 3. They're with 6 left in the second quarter.
Need Need your daily sports fix? Stadium's got you covered.
Welcome to the big time.
From the NFL and NBA.
He's trying to compete, win a championship.
To college football and basketball.
I love the way they play.
Tune in weeknights at 6 p.m. for all your sports news, analysis, breakdowns, and more. It's the best hour of sports info and entertainment each day. Get your sports fix at 6. Weeknights on Stadium. Your 24/7 home for sports.
Back at Sioux Falls is the IFL Game of the Week on Stadium. A lot of souvenirs for fans on wayward kicks and throws. The fans have trickled in more and more as this game has progressed. Got a great crowd here and enjoying a big-time game. Chris Clayton and Rich Rosti with you here on Stadium.
You know, the COVID thing has caused difficulties for so many business. Entertainment and sports is also one of them. And as the country is getting back to a point of starting to get out, it's taking a while for everybody to get acclimated to being able to go and attend things. And it's going to really force the new owners to start over building this franchise.
Kick deep to Chavius in the end zone. At across the 10-yard line. A dangerous return man. He took one to the house last week against Iowa. That was called back due to a penalty. This time he's bottled up right at the 12-yard line.
It's a decent return for the Sioux Falls Storm. Good coverage by the Arizona Rattlers. As you can feel the momentum swinging back and forth, and we're on an old-fashioned clock right now, and this pendulum is just going evenly back and forth. Right now, the next big step is going to be who causes the next turnover, who makes the biggest mistake. That's going to be a huge factor going down the last 5.5 minutes of our 5:50 of this first half.
Well, Arizona with 2 turnovers, but Lorenzo Brown Jr. and the Storm have been very efficient with the football. Brown Jr., not only does he have those 2 touchdowns, hasn't really made a mistake yet. Quick throw out left side to Shepard on a screen. He's got a nice positive gain up to the 17-yard line.
Double coverage over there for the Arizona Rattlers, able to maintain that to a minimal gain. It could have been much bigger. But 2 guys working off the block of a downfield receiver, and for them to be able to contain things in and not allow Shepard to cut to the inside. And that's exactly where that play was, but to be able to fend off your blocker and slide out so that play stops, that's good coaching by the Arizona Rattlers.
Brown has completed 6 passes to 4 different wideouts so far in this game. And he kept it on a run play, a nice 4-yard gain, a big-time punishing hit to finish it off. Physical Arizona defense able to stop him just short of the sticks, it looked like.
I believe it is going to be short by about a yard or less. But Lorenzo Brown did a good job veering out there, but the wide receiver Shepard, number 80, he was kind of standing in no man's land. He didn't really have anybody to hit. He tried to get out of the way. He tried to make it a block, but a good job done defensively by Tyrell Pearson as he made sure that did not go for a first down.
Pearson, a former All-IFL defensive back. In 2019, he led the IFL with 6 interceptions with a big hit on 3rd and 1, trying for a sneak. I'm not sure Brown got it. Depends on the spot here. Williams and that Arizona defense did a great job.
Mcallis also in there. He's a force for the Rattlers. And I believe they're going to rule it. It's going to be, I've not seen a ruling. Coach Riggs is arguing his case. Brad Bunting's having nothing. It's going to be 4th down. 4th down, less than a yard.
And Riggs is not happy. And there it is, about a half yard. And this is where Kevin Guy for Arizona is really confident in his line on both sides of the ball, but this is where your big physical front can really help you out.
You know, we talked about these coaches coming up with different things. What's going to be the thing that Coach Guy does, and bringing Daryl Monroe is a big factor of this ball game thus far, bringing him back on the field. And the Sioux Falls Storm run the clock down to take a timeout.
Curtis Riggs and company going to talk things over. We'll see the strategy coming out of the timeout. 3:18 left in the second, and a big time 4th and 1 here in the first half. Back at Sioux Falls, the IFL Game of the Week on Stadium. Our first 2 weeks in beautiful Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
That is the fall.
Yes.
That is the fall.
Is the Sioux Falls. We'll be next week in Des Moines, Iowa.
This is the first year the Indoor Football League, in partnership and contract with Stadium.
Yep.
And the first time to have this type of coverage for indoor football, and this league was down to 6 teams just a few years ago. Now up to 12. Will be 18 teams next year. 2
expansion teams in Las Vegas and Columbus, Ohio, joining the roster next season. Big time 4th and 1 coming out of the timeout for Sioux Falls, trying to sneak it with Brown. This didn't work on 3rd down, but I think it did on 4th. The second effort for Brown gets the first down for Sioux Falls.
You know, people talk about Lorenzo Brown, 10 years in the league. He's 33, 34 years old. You know, Coach Riggs actually wanted him to retire after having a stellar game against Arizona a year and a half ago. He had a year off. Coach Riggs really felt he should retire at this time, but Lorenzo Brown, he's a gutty player. He comes back out. He beats out the other 2 that are vying for his job, and he's a winner, and he's a leader, and he's not afraid of getting his hands dirty or getting his head knocked around, and he'll just go after that first down. That's why Coach Riggs still has him at starting quarterback.
Been a long line of great quarterbacks for this Sioux Falls organization. That is ruled a fumble, a catch and then a fumble, but quickly corralled there by JoJo Gauss. His 3rd catch. He have about 10 yards on the play for Gauss. He's already got 2 receiving touchdowns in this game.
Drew Powell, quarterback for the Arizona Rattlers, was backup to Lorenzo Brown here in Sioux Falls, and Coach Riggs allowed him to, actually told him, he says, if you want to try to get signed with somebody else so you can play, get some film, we'll let you go. And then he wound up beating the Storm when he was at Iowa, also now at Arizona.
There's a deep connection between these 2 teams, with quarterbacks playing with one another, coaches battling year after year as well.
What a great job. Tyrell Pearson, we've seen him all over the field thus far in this game, and he came up, and Lorenzo Brown on a quasi-quarterback draw. But Pearson comes in and makes a one-arm tackle and brings him down, only gains a couple yards. Pearson's played a great game that we have seen thus far.
2nd and about 8 here for Sioux Falls. Storm offense last week putting up 36 points against Iowa. Already throwing the ball a lot better this week. They threw for 113 yards the entire game against Iowa. They're already at 107. Another completion on the right side, this time to Moore. And he's got a couple of yards down to the 14.
That's been a stable play for the Sioux Falls Storm for a very long time. A receiver screen, especially to the right side. But the defense blew it up very well, and we'll pause.
Immediate timeout and a 3-point game in Sioux Falls. Back at Sioux Falls is the IFL Game of the Week on Stadium, a matchup between 2 organizations that have played twice in United Bowls in 2017 and 2019. It's the 2 winningest coaches in indoor football history, and Kevin Guy for Arizona and Curtis Riggs for Sioux Falls. And it has not disappointed on the field either. Really entertaining game back and forth so far. Brown looking to throw, already with 2 touchdowns, and he'll stay there for now as that is knocked away by Pearson. fired up, forcing the incompletion.
That was a great technical way to make a knockdown of a pass. And Pearson has impressed me with his technical abilities. Not only that, but being positioned. And that time he got to the inside of that receiver and knocked it down, setting up fourth down. So Vinatieri is going to try a kick. He's already had one field goal in this contest. Adam Vinatieri, heard about him. That is his uncle.
One of the great kickers in football history. His nephew, Chase Vinatieri, has been very good in this game so far. Another chance at a field goal. It is just wide to the right. In his first season in the IFL, a bit off that time on a close kick. 17-14 remains the score here with 51 seconds left in the second quarter. And that can be frustrating. Obviously, you want to see your kicker convert those, but it's a big adjustment. He played for South Dakota State last season. Kickers have to make an adjustment to this new league and this new format.
They had an 18-foot, 6-inch span on the goalpost. These are 10. And that's how much difference it is for them to kick into that much more narrow goalpost. Other famous names in these two organizations, we have Vincent Testaverde Jr., is a backup quarterback for Arizona. He's on an injured reserve list, and also Byron Evans II.
Evans II's dad, Byron Evans, played in the NFL for 10 years with the Eagles, so there's some NFL family connections for a few players on these rosters. A quick completion on the left side there to Jamal Miles for Arizona.
This is the inside the 1 minute timing rules. Plays that go into the boards, incompleted passes, and first downs long enough to move the sticks will all stop the clock. So Arizona that time threw towards the sideline. Receiver immediately goes to the boards, gives himself up. That stops the clock inside the 1 minute warning.
Powell bombs it downfield looking for Harrington, and he just overthrew him.
St. Pierre got himself turned around. Fortunate for him that the pass was a little bit too long for Harrington, but Harrington, I watched him over the years, and he is just an outstanding wide receiver, 5'9", 180-pounder out of Campbellsville University.
Harrington has had an unbelievable career so far for the Rattlers, second team All-IFL in 2019. So far in this game, only one catch for 5 yards for Harrington. Third down for the Rattlers. There's a connection to Harrington, down inside the 15-yard line.
Plenty of time left for the Arizona Rattlers. 36 seconds on the clock. 3 timeouts remaining. Plus plays into the boards and incompleted passes all stop the clock. But again, Arizona ran a deuce stack way against the boards on the right side, away from where the pass was intended. Storm had one coverage, only had one defender covering. Look for Coach Guy to go back to that same stack again, because Monroe was one in the stack, and getting him the ball downfield could be huge for Arizona.
22 yards on that completion. Plenty of time for Arizona. Powell not a lot of time as he scrambles out and throws it into the stands. A safe decision by the veteran quarterback, incomplete.
You know, when you have a quarterback like Powell, he just understands the game. He has control of it. He knew exactly what he needed to do, get out of that situation and get the ball, get rid of it, and live for another down. Also, looking at it from the Storm side, the defensive side, they have had some pressure on the quarterback, this last play especially, and that's something that they did not have against the Iowa Barnstormers a week ago.
And that was a big factor that Curtis Riggs thought why the defensive back struggled, was the lack of pressure. Powell will throw for Harrington on the money. Touchdown Rattlers.
And that time, the stack again was out there, and I was really thinking they were going to bring Monroe into the play, but it really set up a fake, a deception, because Powell looked to the right, then threw back to Harrington, who had found himself open. Great play by Arizona.
What a drive for Harrington. A couple big-time catches for him. Drew Powell with his first passing touchdown of this game. And after going down 17-7, they were down 8-0 early as well. The Rattlers have the lead, and the extra point is through as well. 14 unanswered for Arizona, and the Rattlers have the lead on the road thanks to this Drew Powell to Jared Harrington connection.
Go inside the association with Stadium. With NBA breaking news from Shams Charania.
You are continuing to break news, and this is big news.
Exclusive player and coach conversations and interviews.
Hey, you should come back to the Lakers. And then I'm here.
NBA prospect breakdowns and analysis from the experts.
He was terrific.
And in-depth information from NBA insiders.
2 of the best in the NBA.
Get your NBA fix with Inside the Association on Stadium, your 24/7 home for sports.
Jared Harrington pulling in a 12-yard receiving touchdown for Arizona. He had 34 receiving yards on the drive, leading the charge for the Rattlers as they got their aerial assault going to get a late touchdown here in the first half.
25 seconds left to go till halftime. Again, the timing rules will continue. Look for this kick to go on the ground, to be a bobbling kick. Hard to defend, trying to keep the Storm back, pinned back at their own end, not allow Chavius to have a kick return.
Chavius, a dangerous return man. Electric in the open field. Had a touchdown last week that was called back due to a penalty. Lakeo boots it deep. Lakeo's had some really nice kicks. Pushing Chavius back. Trying to find a crease, and he's got room. Cuts back. Chavius to the house. What an answer for Sioux Falls.
Chavius from the 15 of the Storm made 2 of the best decisions of that run, is that he decided not to go left and to go inside to the right. Watch him cut from there back into the inside and then go laterally, almost laterally, all the way across field, and that allowed him to get some distance away from DJ Williams, and that was the difference in that kick return for a touchdown.
What a start to the season for Chavius. 3 rushing touchdowns last week and a kick return for a score already in this game. Vinatieri out to kick the extra point. And he pushed it to the right that time, no good. So the score stays at 23-21 at the moment. See Martin IV trying to encourage his teammate. You Make the Call is live at watchstadium.com/YouMakeTheCall. Join in the gamified experience through prediction-based questions and more. Play, watch, and win great prizes like IFL tickets, team merchandise, and VIP experiences. It's never too late to sign up. The season-long experience at watchstadium.com/YouMakeTheCall. Wow, what a game we have here in our second installment of the IFL Game of the Week on Stadium. Rich, this game is just going back and forth. A lot of it early on was some strong defense with a couple forced turnovers by Sioux Falls, but since then the offenses have found their footing.
These teams have played head-to-head so many different times. I believe the largest margin of victory between them is 13 points. And it is no different than the last couple times. The playoff game that the Sioux Falls Storm won down in Arizona was 69-67 or something like that. Close games. And they all have been, and it's been an outstanding game, very clean game already.
Arizona leads the all-time series 5-3. But a lot of times they come down to the wire, and the regular season matchups aren't always indicative of the postseason. Jamal Miles ran into a wall there at the 18-yard line.
Trey Wofford, good job done defensively on the kick coverage team. Wofford is one of the few veterans with the Sioux Falls Storm. Came in the ballgame, had 8 tackles last week against the Iowa Barnstorms. But one of the things that Coach Riggs was really hoping for was if the Storm could have gotten a field goal, then inside the 1-minute warning you can play for a deuce, which means if your kicker can kick it through the end zone at the other end, through the uprights, that's another point. But without making that field goal, that's a moot point.
So an issue with the clock here they're trying to get settled. Every second counts down the stretch. They had it run down to 12. They'll punch it right back up to 14 seconds. A lot of time in the IFL for Arizona. Powell throws, overthrows, incomplete. Trying to connect with his tallest wideout in the 6'3" Troy Pelletier.
It looks like he came up a little bit lame. Held his hamstring for just a moment. That time Monroe was in the slot to the right side, and he was in a delay route. He wasn't going downfield, he was just hanging there as a backup. But Powell is a smart quarterback. 11 seconds, still all 3 timeouts remaining for the Arizona Rattlers. This is a ton of time, even though it's 11 seconds.
And that's the good news. The play only took 3 seconds. I'll have another shot downfield for Harrington, and he makes the catch.
Clock's down to 6 seconds, and Harrington was wide open from the 20 all the way down inside the 15 where he caught the ball. Storm was not on him defensively at all. He had free rein and found himself wide open downfield.
And Arizona will take their first charge timeout, so still a couple left for Arizona. They've managed their timeouts well. And a chance for the Rattlers with 6 seconds here at the 15-yard line.
6 seconds is about one play.
Right.
And however, it's how you do the play. If you're going to throw it short, are you going to go for the end zone right away? You're going to go for short, try to run it in. You're going to swing it out. You're going to make a quarterback draw. Coach Guy has a lot of different options here.
This is where your coaching comes in too, because you've got to decide how much time you want to take. If you're not able to score, you got to hope you have a couple seconds left. At the worst case scenario, have Lakeo come out and try a field goal.
And if Lakeo hits the field goal with any time left, then Arizona would have a chance for the deuce.
Plenty of scoring opportunities left for the Rattlers here down the stretch. Powell with already a touchdown to Harrington just about a minute ago here in this second quarter. He'll throw left side to Harrington again. That's his favorite target. Second catch of the drive, and he quickly jumps up on the boards to get himself out of bounds. That play only took 4 seconds.
So that Coach Guy basically just getting the ball downfield to give his kicker, Ernesto Lakeo, a shorter field to work with, which a field goal would give the Rattlers a 1-point lead going into halftime. 23-21 in this game. Chris has turned into everything that we were anticipating and more.
No doubt. Lakeo, very experienced, his 10th season of professional football, and his kick is beautiful. Arizona takes the lead, 24-23 the score, and that'll do it for the first half of play. Like you said, Rich, this is everything we could have hoped for in the IFL Game of the Week on Stadium. The teams enter the locker room in a 1-point game in Sioux Falls.
Hi, I'm Michael Kim from our stadium studios. We will get you back out to the game in Sioux Falls in just a moment, and we will tell you who won this week's IFL Player of the Week awards. But first, we want to remind everyone that You Make the Call is live. IFL fans can engage like never before within a gamified experience through prediction-based games, poll questions, and more. Throughout the season, the gamified experience will intensify with more opportunities to win. Sign up now at watchstadium.com/YouMakeTheCall. Play, watch, and win great prizes, including IFL tickets, team merchandise, and VIP experiences. The grand prize winner at the end of the season will win a trip for two to the 2021 IFL Championship game. It's never too late to sign up at watchstadium.com/YouMakeTheCall. It's a season-long experience. If you watched last Saturday's game on Stadium, there's a familiar quarterback that was named the IFL's Offensive Player of the Week. We will have that and more right after this timeout. You're watching the IFL on Stadium. Welcome to the game. Time now for the IFL Players of the Week. On the offensive side, what an impressive game for Daquan Neal for the Iowa Barnstormers. Neal throws for 6 touchdowns on 16 of 22 passing for 254 yards, including a 43-yard scoring strike to Andrew Mahoney. Daquan also led the team with 40 yards on the ground. On the defensive side of the ball, Joel Dullery helped the Frisco Fighters earn their first victory in franchise history over the Spokane Shock. Dullery had 2 interceptions, including one late in the game, to seal the 36-33 win for the Fighters. And there is no truth to the rumor that the IFL is thinking about naming the Special Teams Player of the Week award to the Trayvon Saunders Award. Saunders is the Special Team Player of the Week for the 3rd time in this young IFL season. Trayvon had 6 returns for 116 yards. Congrats to Trayvon, Joel, and Daquan for this week's honors. You can see Daquan Neal in action next week as the Iowa Barnstormers host the Bismarck Bucks at 8 p.m. Eastern right here on Stadium, the only free 24/7 network available on both television and digital devices without a cable subscription. Stadium is your home for the IFL. Welcome to the game. That will do it from our Stadium studios. I'm Michael Kim. A reminder to go to @Stadium on Twitter to cast your vote for the fan of the game. The second half kickoff is coming your way. Enjoy the rest of your game, everyone.
It's the IFL Game of the Week on Stadium. We got a good one here at half, 24-23 our score. These are two of the most storied organizations in the history of indoor football. The last IFL championship game, which is the United Bowl, that was played in 2019, these teams played one another down to the wire, and they're doing so once again here in the regular season with a 24-23 score at the moment. A lot of highlights in that first half, Rich. That was a really fun one to watch. Let's take a look at what stood out. Sioux Falls got off to a fantastic start in this game.
After the game last week where they were so flat, Lorenzo Brown hits Gauss, and he gets it into the end zone. That was a very positive play for the Sioux Falls Storm, especially, like I said, after last week.
Gauss with his first 2 catches of the season going for touchdowns before Arizona was able. Well, actually, that time they threw an interception, the INT there by Brandon Rowe. 2 early forced turnovers for this Sioux Falls defense.
And then things changed, and a name out of the past for the Sioux Falls Storm and Arizona Rattlers, Daryl Monroe, and he is making a force in this game thus far.
And then it was back to Gauss downfield on just a dime, a beautifully thrown ball right over the shoulder for the score to Gauss. Last week, only 113 yards passing the entire game for Sioux Falls. They're already at 109 at the moment. And then this was a big-time play. Here's Monroe stretching for the goal line. Bang, knocked out of there by Hendricks, stopping the touchdown, and Sioux Falls was also able to recover that fumble.
That was a big, but Monroe is such a force, but he tried to do that extra little bit, and that's what caused that ball to come out. And then Powell takes it into the end zone. He is such a gifted quarterback.
There's a march right down the field by Arizona as Powell was able to get in on the sneak. The offense is really kicked into gear in that second quarter, including the aerial attack of Arizona. Harrington in particular has been big time. He caught a touchdown right there from 12 yards out. 5 catches, 63 yards and a touchdown for Harrington in that first half. And then Chavius in the closing seconds of the second quarter, able to take it all the way on a kickoff return.
Great move, cutting it back across the green and finds the edge and gets it into the end zone. But Arizona, with only 26 seconds, they get the ball back and they make use of it. And Harrington again comes up big in that last series by Arizona as he sets up the Rattlers down inside the 15-yard line. And that gives the final score of the game, a field goal by the Arizona Rattlers to lead 24-23.
It seems like there's always enough time in the IFL to get some points on the board. Arizona got down late and was able to get the field goal from Lakeo, but it's pretty even right now, as you can see. The numbers back that up. Total yards, only a yard difference. And Arizona doing a nice job run the football with both Powell and Monroe. They have combined for those 72 yards rushing. I mean, the only difference you can really point to were those early turnovers.
And right now, Arizona has neutralized those and leads in the game. But it allowed the Sioux Falls Storm to have the big start and momentum. We talked about that quite a bit, Chris, as far as the momentum of that first half. It swung both ways. Right now, I would have to say it's really pretty neutral. I mean, Arizona got the last score, but Sioux Falls has to be riding high with emotion after what they had played last week and how they're playing this week. And Arizona on the other side, dominant last week and in a pretty much a tie ball game here in Sioux Falls.
This is a back and forth affair, as it usually is here between these two teams, and a 1-point difference so far here in the IFL Game of the Week on Stadium. All right, when we come back, we'll get you up to date on scores around the league and a big-time Saturday in the Indoor Football League here on the Halftime Report on Stadium. Well, we got a close one here in Sioux Falls, a 1-point advantage for Arizona, but it is a big day in the Indoor Football League. A full slate of games with 6 going on right now. Let's take a look at the scores from around the IFL on this wonderful Saturday. Well, we had a game yesterday, so I should say 6 total, but the final score yesterday, a victory for the Green Bay Blizzard over the Tucson Sugar Skulls, 42-36 in that one. And you can just see how close these games are. Frisco right now with a 7-point edge over the Louisville Extreme. The Bucks are up right now on the Wranglers. Massachusetts Pirates ahead on the Shock. And a tie game at the half, 34-all between the Barnstormers of Iowa. The very Iowa team that beat Sioux Falls here in Denny Sanford Premier Center last week. They're tied up with Duke City at 34. And Rich, it's great to have the IFL back. After missing a year due to COVID, there's teams that not able to play this season, but the 12 teams that are playing, it's great to see them out on the field and duking it out once again.
And not only that, like I said earlier, a few years ago it was down to 6 teams. Now it's at 12. Next year it will be at 18 teams in the IFL, as it has gone nationwide, coast to coast, north to south, and to be a part of Stadium and to bring these games to folks that have not seen indoor football before is huge. And it's I'm just so pleased that the IFL is all moving in such positive directions, coming off a very tough year with the COVID virus.
So those are the scores at the moment. You can catch all the final scores and all the stats on goifl.com. The schedules for future weeks and any news and information you'd like about the IFL on goifl.com. All right, when we come back, we'll have you ready for the second half kickoff in a close one. It's the IFL Game of the Week on Stadium. Arizona up a point on the Storm. Back in Sioux Falls, 24-23 our score. It's the IFL Game of the Week on Stadium. It's been a thriller so far, back and forth between two of the most storied organizations in the history of indoor football. Chris Clayton and Rich Rosti here with you. We're happy to have you along with us for what will be a long season of the IFL Game of the Week on Stadium.
And what an exciting time for you to be able to get to there's going to be 3 of you that will be traveling the country, going to these different venues to broadcast the games of the week. And what an opportunity for you and also for the fans to be able to see a cross-section of the many different teams, the personalities of them, and the venues that they play, like literally from coast to coast.
Right, that's what's going to be amazing for fans that maybe haven't watched the IFL before. They stumble on it on Stadium, they were able to see how fun this league is to watch. This game a perfect showcase of that, with how these teams have lit it up and down the field. And of course, die-hard Indoor Football League fans as well will enjoy being able to see their teams on national television. Arizona, one of the team's best. They're #1 in the coaches poll here in Week 5 of the IFL season. Sioux Falls sitting at #4. So the coaches around the league have respect for these two teams. And they have gone toe-to-toe so far in this one. Vinatieri will kick it deep. Arizona was on defense first, so they will have the football as we start off this second half. Running left side, this is Jeremiah Harris. And he's tackled right at about the 14-yard line. That's where the Rattlers will start their first drive of the third quarter.
Trey Wofford, a veteran with the Sioux Falls Storm. Great job on kickoff coverage. Made the tackle down around about the 14-yard line. And if you can hold your team, you know, somewhere between the 10 and the 15 on the kickoff, that's a positive play.
Drew Powell did throw an early interception right at the goal line, but he really got back on track and got things going in the second quarter. Throwing for 79 yards in his score so far. Also on a QB sneak, able to get into the end zone. So Powell, a former league MVP back in 2018 with 2 touchdowns already. A flag on the play. Looked like it could have been another flag with a face mask. I don't think they called the face mask, but Powell's able to get across midfield. We'll check the flag with our referee here, Brad Bunting.
Legal defense, number 95, out of his stance.
Defensive linemen have to be in a 3-point or 4-point stance at the snap of the ball, otherwise it's a defensive penalty. Look for this to be declined. Arizona will take the position at the 24.
It's Daquan Harvin.
On the play, both on the defense. Illegal defense, number 95, not in his stance at the snap. That penalty's declined. Personal foul, face mask, number 13. That penalty enforced half the distance in the run. First down.
The first penalty that was declined was on Daquan Harvin. The face mask is on Wofford. So not a great start for Sioux Falls, their defense in the first play of the third quarter with a couple penalties.
There's a saying in indoor football, make the other team earn it. And right now the Sioux Falls Storm are handing Arizona the position of the ball down inside the 15 at about the 12-yard line. Couple of penalties, missed plays. Arizona, they're the type of team that will capitalize that immediately, and Powell is just the quarterback to do it.
Powell looking to throw. Left side, threw it late, still able to complete it. Right at about the 6-yard line for a gain of 5. Completed that time to Harris.
Harris, he can kind of hide. He's not a tall receiver. He can kind of hide, and Powell with that left hand looking to that. He stepped into that throw, put it on a perfect spot, and Arizona picks up 5.
We're going left side to Monroe. He's a beast down here near the goal line, but he's pinned up on the boards at the 3. I think he's short of the first down by maybe about a yard.
The Sioux Falls Storm used the wall that time to their advantage, because that's the only way that Monroe was running out of real estate, was the wall, because he had the momentum. Storm lucky just to get him to push him against the board to stop the play. Set it up a 3rd down and about a yard to go. I wouldn't be surprised either they're going to give the handoff to Monroe again or use him as a decoy.
Remember earlier in a short yardage situation, Powell, the quarterback, was able to punch it in. They go to Monroe, and he powers in for the Arizona touchdown.
The Storm does not have an answer to Daryl Monroe.
Second touchdown of the game for him.
No doubt about it, as you watch him get this great blocking at the point of the attack, but Wofford had no prayer of trying to tackle Monroe up high. He's got too much upper body strength. You cannot bring him down that way, and you can't do it with a bounce shoulder tackle. He is that powerful a runner, and he'll be a huge factor throughout the rest of this game.
Remember, he had a fumble right at the goal line earlier as well, but overall a nice game for him with a couple scores. There's Mcallis Sane, who was the starter at running back last week with 3 touchdowns. Today it's been all Monroe. Extra point is through for Lakeo, who has been perfect today. And the Rattlers with their largest lead now, an 8-point edge over Sioux Falls.
With teams from coast to coast and growing, we are the Indoor Football League. The IFL is the nation's longest continuously running pro indoor football league, and we want you to get in on the action. Visit goifl.com to watch games, learn about our players and coaches, and click on your favorite team's site for tickets and official team merchandise. Follow us on social media and visit goifl.com.
Coming up next week on Stadium, our IFL Game of the Week is in Des Moines, Iowa. The Iowa Barnstormers, who have a chance to be 2-0 heading into that game if they can win today, hosting the Bismarck Bucks. The Bucks, a much improved squad here this season. Bismarck with a chance to improve to 3-1 if they can hold on to their victory over the Northern Arizona Wranglers back in North Dakota.
One thing that I'm really sensing in this game here with Arizona, they're really establishing Monroe as that running back. That's going to give Powell so much more opportunity to throw the football, and that's where the momentum is swung back to Arizona, because they really have the Sioux Falls Storm on their heels.
It was a 17-7 advantage early on for Sioux Falls. Since then, a 24-6 advantage for Arizona to build this big-time lead.
Oh, Harrington comes up really limp going off. He made the tackle on special teams, really favoring that right leg. But I was just going to say about him, he's all over the field, making catches, making touchdowns, and also kick coverage.
Harrington limped off. That's not a guy Kevin Guy wants to lose for special teams and offensive purposes. Right now he's got to worry about containing Lorenzo Brown Jr., who had a big-time first half, 109 yards and a couple touchdowns for Sioux Falls. JoJo Gauss was his main target with 2 scores in the first half.
He's been quiet since that first quarter.
He really has. Gauss 3 catches, 69 yards, and 2 touchdowns. All that came in the first quarter, to your point. Brown kept it. Still on his feet. Powerful running from the veteran quarterback Lorenzo Brown Jr. for 9 yards.
Yeah, that's what Coach Riggs likes about Lorenzo Brown. He can frustrate you with a bad play, but then he can come out and do something else. As we have one of the injured Storm players down there, Moore, as he's down either with a cramp or he's really hurt his left leg.
It's number 88, Alonzo Moore. There it is. It looked like Brown, actually, his quarterback, fell on his leg. So Alonzo Moore is down for Sioux Falls. Hopefully he is okay as the trainers take a look and talk to him. A key wide receiver for this Storm squad. One of the best wide receivers on the team.
Third-year player out of Nebraska.
We'll be back to Sioux Falls after this. They'll check in on Moore. Hopefully he's able to be okay and get back in this game as quickly as possible. Back in Sioux Falls after this in the IFL Game of the Week on Stadium. You Make the Call is live at watchstadium.com/YouMakeTheCall. Join in on the gamified experience through prediction-based questions and more. Play, watch, and win great prizes like IFL tickets, team merchandise, and VIP experiences. It's never too late to sign up for the season-long experience. watchstadium.com/YouMakeTheCall.
Well, Moore went off with a lot of help. He wasn't putting any pressure on his right leg. And coming out for the Sioux Falls Storm, and I believe that they have I think they might have brought out Tommy Armstrong, but I'm not sure. I can't see the number on the far side.
Quick completion on the right side, and a first down for Sioux Falls. Right at midfield, a completion to Shepard. Alonzo Moore with 2 catches for 12 yards in this game before going down. Shepard on that reception there with his 3rd catch, and he's up to 21 yards.
So they have Ford, and they have Shepard, and they have Gauss as the wide receivers after it goes out with an injury.
Well, it's a deep receiving core. It's the good news for Curtis Riggs. He wasn't pleased with how they played last week. He actually put it pretty bluntly. He said last week they played terrible. They dropped a lot of passes. There's an incompletion that time on a poor throw behind Ford. But this week they've been making some plays for Lorenzo Brown.
I'm not sure if that was a bad pass or a bad route.
Right.
Both of them could be up for election on that
Yes.
particular play.
Bad result.
But it was a bad result, but Ford looked like he cut that way early, and Lorenzo Brown was throwing end zone.
Brown with a much improved aerial attack this week. 109 yards already passing after 113 last week. He was the United Bowl MVP back in 2019. He'll throw downfield. He's got Gauss again. Third touchdown for JoJo Gauss.
Gauss had to turn around. He had looked one way and he looked back the other to readjust on the ball coming in from Lorenzo Brown. As you can see, the tall receiver, as the ball is coming down, he's already turned back and looking to the ball. That's a great concentration by a wide receiver. Winfrey could do nothing but just follow into the end zone.
It's an Arizona defense that held the Wranglers last week to just 20 points. Sioux Falls already at 29, and Vinatieri out to try and convert the extra point. He's 1 of 3 today on PATs. He struggled a bit so far this season kicking PATs, and he missed that one as well. 31-29 as it stands, though. Still success for Sioux Falls. The Storm only down a couple. Brown to Gauss for the third time. Beautiful downtown Sioux Falls, especially in the summer. That is when it is prime down there in Sioux Falls. One of the many great cities with teams in the IFL. And here in the Denny Sanford Premier Center, the fans have had plenty to cheer about.
So that was a bounding ball, touched in the back of the end zone by the Rattlers, goes over the back wall. So by rule, the ball goes to the 5-yard line. Had it been untouched, bounced over the back wall, it would have been taken to the 20.
We'll give it a touchback right there. The kicks for Vinatieri, we talked about his struggles kicking PATs in this game. He's 1 for 4 kicking extra points, but Vinatieri's kicks have been successful, those long squibs. In fact, Sioux Falls had a rouge earlier thanks to his squib kick downfield.
But right now in this game, points would make a difference.
Right.
Storm, because they got the rouge, had the extra point, and now they've missed 3-point after touchdowns, trail by 2.
Powell and the Rattlers back out on the attack. Downfield, looking for the end zone. Oh, he had it, couldn't pull it in. Jeremiah Harris had the defender beat.
That pass going off his right shoulder, trying to turn back for it, just maybe outran the ball just a touch as that ball hit the back of his shoulder pad. Watch it come right in here. No, it was over the other shoulder. That's what had happened. Then it hit the shoulder pad.
So maybe not a perfect throw, but pretty close to it. That's one, if you ask Harris, he knows he's probably should have pulled that one in for a touchdown.
Kevin Guy, 2nd down and 10. You never know what he's going to do. He's got Monroe in his backfield.
2nd and 10. They're going back to the air. Harrington's open. Good to see him out back on the field after he was shaken up on a kickoff earlier, and he's got a 21-yard reception into Storm territory.
That's what he does. I've watched him for the last several years, and he can find a way to get open, and that's exactly what he's got inside and underneath that corner and safety, and that's what he just shines. And a quarterback like Powell can just pick things off and march down the field. A critical series defensively for the Sioux Falls Storm as their offense got the score, and now the defense looking for the first stop in a long time.
What a game so far for Harrington with those 84 receiving yards. The late pitch out to Monroe, and he's got a nice gain. A great decision by Powell with that late pitch to pick up about 6 yards on the play.
Doesn't look like the knee for Monroe is hurting at all as he's hurdling players going upfield as he gets the toss. Watch him go ahead. Oh, limp leg. Not quite a hurdle, but a good limp leg. And he picks up an extra 4 or 5 yards because of it.
Torn ACL for Monroe a couple years ago, battling back from that knee injury. Arizona coaching staff said Monroe is in the best shape that they've ever seen him in. He's in his 3rd year with the team, and what a game he's having so far with a couple touchdowns. He takes the toss and a big hit, slammed up onto the boards by Trey Wofford.
Great job at the point of attack. Lamar Mady, and I've talked about him for several years. He's playing that offensive guard on the left side, and he jumped out ahead of the ball carrier. Watch him get out. He gets a turn block on the defender, enough to allow that ball carrier to get some positive yards. It wasn't a total block out, but it's enough for that guy to get the corner, and he sets up a 3rd down and short.
Monroe, those big-time numbers, more than 7 yards per carry, 2 scores. Does have a fumble, but been a big-time presence in the run game. On 3rd and short, though, they will throw for Harrington. Tipped and picked off! Racing down the other way for Sioux Falls, Brandon Rowe, his 2nd interception of the game.
Sometimes it isn't pretty for a defense to get an interception, but that time a tipped ball, and Rowe got hammered into the wall, and he is down, and they're attending to him. Coach Hermanson and also the trainer for the Storm. Watch him take it down the left sideline, and he'll get a big hit right on his hip. Oh my. Was that? He's trying to catch the number. Cannot read it.
That was Powell. That was the quarterback.
That was Powell.
That was Drew Powell, the quarterback, coming through with a punishing hit. And then after the whistle during that replay, there was a little bit of a skirmish at middle. A lot of pushing and shoving. Unhappy with how that went down, and unfortunately through it all, Rowe, with his 2nd interception, he is shaken up, taking a massive hit on this spear by Powell. Third turnover for the Rattlers.
Uncharacteristic for that team, opportunistic for the Storm.
Yeah, this Storm defense, after allowing 56 points and 6 passing touchdowns last week against DeQuan Neal in Iowa, they have really stepped it up here this week.
Both teams have suffered injuries. Rowe going out now, putting no pressure on his right leg. And just moments ago, one of the Rattlers went out with an injury in the same leg and the same type of a hit. A very physical game that's being played here tonight here in Sioux Falls.
Alonzo Moore shaken up earlier for Sioux Falls as well. So you hate to see these injuries go down in a physical game, but how about the quarterback? Obviously didn't mean to hurt anybody, but that's a big-time hit for a quarterback there by Powell.
And you're right, it was Alonzo Moore. It was for Sioux Falls that went down with injury. Thank you, Chris.
But you know both teams are feeling the effects of this game. Physical. Fresh set of downs off the turnover. In motion, Ford. A creative play to get him streaking across, and a 9-yard run for Damien Ford.
Good job done by Shepard on the lead block going around the left side. And it's good to see a receiver that will put his shoulder into it. There it is. But a good job done also by Pearson. We've talked about him tonight too. How many plays he's in on. That saved a touchdown for the Rattlers.
2nd carry of the game for Ford for 10 yards so far. Sioux Falls with a touchdown drive and then an interception on a drive in which it looked like the Rattlers were driving, and now the Storm can take the lead. Chavius reverses field, gets a block, and he's got a first down to the 11.
That play had no chance of going anywhere because the Rattlers had it totally strung out against the boards. And Chavius, who showed a lot last week as he makes a big turn and he's looking for his quarterback, Lorenzo Brown, to pick up a block, and Lorenzo Brown kind of got one.
Quarterbacks bringing it for both teams. Hits, blocks, football players.
The thing about this league, one of the bigger things about this league is the fact that it's a league that you want players to move on to higher levels, Canadian Football League, and we'll talk about that in a minute.
1st and 10 at the 11, so they can get a first down at the 1. Brown's got it all day. Throwing. Caught! It's a touchdown! Brandon Shepard for the Storm as they regain the lead.
What a ball game. Holy help me, Hannah, what a ball game. Going back and forth. Lorenzo Brown, like you talked about, Chris, had tons of time in that backfield and able to allow that receiver to come back towards the ball, and that was Brandon Shepard as he has gotten away from Winfrey. And he came back for the ball, a touchdown for the Sioux Falls Storm. Coach Riggs still putting faith in Vinatieri, going to let him kick. He's 1 of 4 in point afters, and the Storm leading by 4 points.
Vinatieri trying to get back on track, and he's able to. Knocks it through in a nice ovation from the crowd. Sioux Falls taking the lead back. Lorenzo Brown Jr., 4 passing touchdowns for Sioux Falls. Sioux Falls, don't forget, you can vote for our fan of the game. Head on to Twitter, find @Stadium, and vote for your choice in the poll for the fan of the game. Again, that's on Twitter @Stadium, where you can vote for the fan of the game here at the Denny Sanford Premier Center in Sioux Falls. On the return, that's Jamal Miles for the Rattlers. Out across the 20, this is good field position for Arizona. Last drive, they started back at their own 5 on a touchback. This time, they're at the 22.
Field position. It's huge. It's a short field anyway. And if you can get out to close to the midfield stripe to start your drive, your chances of success are much greater. Even saying that, the Storm actually had better field coverage than they have I saw last week because they stayed in their lane. So it was a positive play both sides. However, Arizona got the better end of the deal out to their own 22.
Powell has struggled a little bit with turnovers, a couple of interceptions thrown, but does have 2 touchdowns in this game. That time he's bottled up in the backfield. Smith takes him down.
Kai Smith stayed at home, defensive lineman, 6'3", 260 out of Westchester. And he kept and was tenacious in keeping a hold of Powell, which Powell is known to get away from you. So it was a big job done for him, a loss of about a yard, 2nd down and 11.
Kai Smith in his first year with the team, making an impact defensively along that front. 2nd and 11, Powell going downfield, and that is his favorite target, Jared Harrington. Unbelievable how often he's open for Powell.
He's an amazing wide receiver, fun to watch. He's scrappy, and he shrugs off this tackle. He gets whipped down, but he knows that he made the catch, and he won that play. A gain of 9, third down and short for Arizona. They're down by 5. This game is everything we talked about to start, and it's lived up to every bit of it.
This team has played in the United Bowl in 2017 and 2019. Also played in the postseason to the wire in 2018. And here in the regular season, it's another battle. Physical run by Monroe, and he's got enough for a first down to the 17-yard line.
You know, when you need only about a yard, who else would you call on? Is Daryl Monroe. At some point in time, I'd have to believe also that another situation like that, guy's going to have the option of running him or decoying him for a bigger play, because Monroe has established himself in this game as he's going to get at least 4 yards. At least 4 yards, maybe more, especially at the goal line.
Averaging 7 yards per carry. The only blemish on Monroe so far in this game was that fumble at the goal line. Brian Hermanson's defense trying to make a stand here on an Arizona drive. Powell off of play action. You called it, Rich. Powell kept it, stumbles, and he's got a nice pickup down to the 6-yard line.
This quarter is brought to you by Interstate.
Powell,
First and goal.
He can just do so many things. Sioux Falls Storm, watch, they totally collapse to the right side, leave the backside totally wide open. Wofford has the only opportunity, and he trips up Powell. Powell still stumbles down for another 7.
52 rush yards in the game now for Powell to go along with his passing line there. Third quarter winding down. Handoff to Harrington, trying to squirm through. Quick, but certainly not powerful. He's thrown down at the 3-yard line by Hendricks.
Boy, when he got pulled down backwards, I was just thinking, oh, that just doesn't bend that way. But he pops right up. Tough ball carrier, tough football player. In that last play, again, Coach Guy went with a stacked wide receivers way against the boards. This time, Daryl Monroe was one of them. So it's going to be interesting to see how this fourth quarter plays out.
Coming down to the wire in Sioux Falls, a one-possession game. The Storm lead the Rattlers in the IFL Game of the Week on Stadium.
It's time.
All right, the fans have spoken on Twitter at Stadium. They voted our fan of the game. The gentleman who threw Jared Harrington back out on the field. Let's take a look here. It's fan number 1. Harrington, bam, slammed into the front row. Sometimes you'll see fans not ready. This gentleman was ready. He chucked him back out on the field, flexed for everyone as well. That was our fan of the game.
Oh, my. Don't tell you can't tell me that guy's not going to tell that story about 500 times next week. It'll be on social media.
Yes.
Everything about it, plus him flexing his arms. But he just stood up with Harrington right on his back and just gently deposited him back on the field.
Thanks to everybody who voted on Twitter at Stadium, and congrats to our fan of the game. Meanwhile, a 2nd and goal for Arizona. They're down by 5 as we start off the fourth quarter. Chris Clayton and Rich Rosti here with you on Stadium. Powell throws middle. Oh, it's a one-handed catch and a Harrington touchdown.
Harrington, unbelievable catch. Going around, he caught it with his biceps. his arm was totally flexed, like he was, flexing his arm. Watch him as he comes back, pulls it in right there, holds it. Unbelievable. And this is the way he's been playing all the time that I've watched him over the last 3 years. He's an amazing ball player, and you just can't stop him.
He is putting on a show. 8 catches, 97 yards, and 2 touchdowns for Harrington. And the Rattlers have regained the lead here early in the fourth quarter. Lakeo has been perfect today on extra points and on field goals, and he will stay that way. 38-36 our score early on in the fourth. Powell with 2 interceptions today, but also now 3 touchdowns. A little bit of an assist from his receiver that time.
Need your daily sports fix? Stadium's got you covered.
Welcome to the big time.
From the NFL and NBA.
He's trying to compete, win a championship.
To college football and basketball.
I love the way they play.
Tune in weeknights at 6 p.m. for all your sports news, analysis, breakdowns, and more. It's the best hour of sports info and entertainment each day. Get your sports fix at 6. Weeknights on Stadium. Your 24/7 home for sports.
Coming up next week on Stadium at 8 Eastern, our IFL Game of the Week will be in Des Moines. It's the Iowa-born Stormers hosting the Bismarck Bucks. That'll be next Saturday on Stadium with our IFL Game of the Week. They have not disappointed so far. Last week's opening Game of the Week, a really good game between Sioux Falls and Iowa, 56-36 the final, and this one back and forth as well.
Drew Powell, 11 of 17, 2 interceptions, 139 yards, and a touchdown. Long of 23. Lorenzo Brown for the Storm, 11 of 16, 153, 4 passing touchdowns, long of 39, been sacked once.
Both quarterbacks have come to play. It's 2 quarterbacks that played with each other on Sioux Falls. Drew Powell is the backup to Lorenzo Brown Jr. His release, signed with Iowa. Now he's with Arizona and one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Chavius already a kickoff return touchdown earlier. This time he's out across midfield.
When you talk about individual, we talked a lot about Daryl Monroe. We talked about Harrington. Chavius for the Sioux Falls Storm. He keeps bringing it too. Here's a kickoff return. Looks like he's boxed in, makes a stop, stutter step, moves left, gets it past the wall, and still falls forward for an extra 3 and sets up the Storm in territory of the Arizona Rattlers at the 23-yard line.
It's been the passing attack today that's been very successful for Sioux Falls. Chavius had 66 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns last week. But Brown is putting up the numbers through the air here in the second game of the year for Sioux Falls. He fakes to Chavius, running left side. Oh, big time hit on the boards. Tyrell Pearson letting him hear about it too.
But Lorenzo Brown picks up 7. Make that about 6. And that's what he will do. He'll put himself in danger of injury, but it's like Lorenzo Brown just plays with that reckless abandon. And Pearson gave him every shot that he could, and Brown pops up again. After a while, that's tough for a defender to see if you hit him as hard as you can and he still gets up.
Pearson's laid down a few big-time hits today. High snap, Brown handled it. Calmly throws middle, and complete for near a first down. For the first time in this game, he hits Nate Chavius on the reception.
Nice little safe play, short yardage, across the middle. Chavius out of the backfield, not sure where he lined up, but he found himself in a perfect spot, just enough for the first down, and that's what all you want. Manage the field, manage your team, manage your position, and march, and just keep going. But again, it starts off with a good kick return, and to start it at the 23 of Arizona.
Storm head coach Curtis Riggs said he's just such a smart quarterback. He makes great decisions. He's played with the Storm for 10 years. But Riggs did say last week that he thought Brown missed some opportunities. He missed 3 touchdown passes. I don't think that's been the case, though, this week. Brown is right back on track.
He is playing an exceptional game right now. But both of these teams, every team, both sides of the ball, are having players that are stepping up and playing like champions. They're rising to the occasion when some people would just be tired by now. These guys are making big plays.
2nd and 7. Ford going left side. Gets a decent block. He's inside the 5, still scrapping, and down to the 2-yard line.
Arizona lost track of the ball. Great fake by Lorenzo Brown. And Ford all but had to run around his own guy to get down there. And he had a receiver, Shepard. Shepard wasn't able to get a block on to help him out.
I was going to say, I thought it was a good block, but upon replay, you see there, it looked like Atkinson just kind of, like you said, lost sight of Ford there.
Yeah.
Out of position. And that play has been run to success twice now for Sioux Falls to Damien Ford on an end around. 1st and goal at the 2. Brown wants to throw. Caught! Ford pulls it in for the touchdown.
That's spectacular. To be able to extend your body and bring it in when your feet are off the ground, that's an exceptional ball carrier or a receiver. And Lorenzo Brown under pressure threw kind of a wobbly one, but Ford, great catch, made sure the officials saw that he had possession of it, held it out, touchdown Storm, back and forth.
First receiving touchdown of the year for Ford. And how about 5 touchdowns for Lorenzo Brown Jr.? His coach tried to get him to retire. Probably second guessing that now. Vinatieri boots it through. He's hit back-to-back now. And the Storm with a 5-point lead in a back-and-forth second half. Lorenzo Brown keeping the play alive and putting the Storm on top. You Make the Call is live at watchstadium.com/YouMakeTheCall. Join in on the gamified experience through prediction-based questions and more. Play, watch, and win great prizes like IFL tickets, team merchandise, and VIP experiences. It's never too late to sign up. It's a season-long experience at watchstadium.com/YouMakeTheCall.
43-38, Storm back on top, back and forth. We still have 10 minutes and 19 seconds of this marathon to go.
As the fourth quarter is where things slipped away from Sioux Falls last week. Iowa outscored the Storm 21-3 in the fourth quarter. You know that's in the back of the mind of these Sioux Falls players. They're in a battle here with Arizona. Quick is retrieved at the 5-yard line, and Miles takes it up to about the 18.
Got a good bounce, came right at him. You never know where a football's going to go. And he was like a shortstop out there, had a good stance, waiting for it, and the ball came right up to him, and he advanced it out. That's a good positive play for Arizona. They'll start this at their own 18-yard line. 10-14 to play. Rattlers trailing by 5. That's nothing.
Right.
Nothing.
No. 1st and 10 for Drew Powell and Arizona. They go to Monroe left side. He's had a big-time game on the ground, and he gets about 5 yards that time.
You know, the thing about Monroe is the fact not only that he's powerful, but he's patient. As he goes to this run to the left side, he's watching the hole develop, and he's taking the time to get to it, which adds to the length of the run. So he's a very smart runner also.
But we thought we would see Nick Lassane today.
Yes.
There was kind of a running back competition, if you will, between the two in camp. Head coach Kevin Guy for Arizona said Nick Lassane had a phenomenal camp. Monroe had a great camp, so we decided to go with Lassane, but today it's been all Daryl Monroe, and he catches a pass that time for a first down.
And Powell had a lot of time, could not find a receiver, but Monroe hanging around to the left side. Powell's able to swing it off to him, picks up first down as the Rattlers continue to march. They're down inside the Sioux Falls Storm 17-yard line.
And you can just see the experience of both these quarterbacks. Very rare they make mistakes. Obviously, Powell has 2 interceptions today, but it just feels like the composure of both these offenses is led by both these quarterbacks in Powell and Lorenzo Brown Jr. And that's setting up for what's probably going to be a back and forth fourth quarter. Monroe again, a physical run as he gets about 5 yards.
A little different look that time by Arizona, that they had brought their 2 wide receivers in motion from right to left, and then they did a U-turn, not a stop, but a U-turn, and go back the other way to be lead blockers for Monroe, but he was not able to get out to the outside, but still picked up 5 yards.
And he's starting to get into a rhythm, fired up. 71 yards rushing for Monroe and a couple touchdowns. Really no answers yet for Brian Hermanson in this Sioux Falls defense. Powell, a flag on the play. Hesitation step, a powerful run. He's still on his feet, spins, and he's down to the 1. And this one might be coming back. That's the sad thing for Drew Powell. A phenomenal effort might just be wasted away by a penalty.
Holding, offense, number 56, 10-yard penalty, previous spot, replay, second down.
Steve Garolo gets flagged on the holding, and sometimes plays just go on or they go in the wrong direction for a lineman, and he'll just get caught. Holding happens all the time, but it depends how exposed you are, and he was all by himself out there. Officials flagged him right away.
He was the center for Arizona, and Powell's probably thinking, if I'd known it was a flag, I wouldn't have taken all these hits.
No kidding.
Let me know next time. So they'll be pushed back. Powell will throw towards the goal line, deflected, tipped again, and it hits the turf. Almost intercepted, almost caught for a touchdown, and then it finally hits the rug.
That's exactly right, and I apologize for stepping on you, but exactly it was a tip ball it could have gone either way. There's the first tip. As making that first tip was Lawrence.
And then Harris almost pulled it in for Arizona as well.
That's right.
3rd and 15 for the Rattlers. Crowd making noise here in Sioux Falls. Powell. Almost intercepted. A strong play in coverage, though, by Solomon St. Pierre.
That's one of the players that Coach Riggs talked about specifically being disappointed in last week. And I think that Solomon St. Pierre has rebuilt some of the trust Coach Riggs had in him, almost picking up the interception again.
Yeah, he actually said, Curtis Riggs said pretty bluntly, I thought Solomon St. Pierre played terrible last week. And I think the reason he said that is because he has high expectations for St. Pierre, who really playing well in this game so far. Lakeo, who's been perfect today on field goals and extra points, will give it a try. And he missed it. Sioux Falls gets the stop and the football back as well on the missed field goal.
The first stop for the Storm defense since their turnover in the first half, at least, maybe the first quarter. And with that, the field goal was kicked long enough to go over the back dasher boards. So on a missed field goal, by rule, the ball comes out to the 5-yard line. And that's where the Storm will have the ball first down in 10, 6 minutes, 7 seconds left to go in the fourth quarter. 48-38.
This is back and forth, but a huge opportunity for Sioux Falls, you'd think, here to go up a couple possessions. It's an Arizona defense that's loaded with all IFL talent. Rattlers, one of the more experienced teams in the IFL. But the Storm and Lorenzo Brown Jr. have put up 43 points so far. I'll throw again. Ford right side. He was the hero last drive with a couple runs and a touchdown reception. As he gets that one 6 yards downfield on the reception.
You know, things are getting maybe just a little bit chippy, but one thing that I saw that was positive for the Storm player and an Arizona player were kind of talking to each other. The offensive center for the Storm, Lawrence the fourth, got down there. Lawrence Martin the fourth got down there, split them up, because the officials, anytime in taunting, that's going to be a very quick flag this year in the IFL. No taunting and any types of extracurricular.
Some experienced leadership for both teams trying to avoid those penalties. And they are feeding Damien Ford. Sioux Falls giving him the rock. He's up to the 23 that time on a run play.
All 3 timeouts for both teams. Clock not a factor right now, but the Sioux Falls Storm taking some clock, advancing the football, trying to wear down the defense of the Arizona Rattlers. And in the football, the clock continues to roll until you're inside the 1 minute timeout rules.
12 yards on the run for Ford. And Rich, time will certainly become even more of a factor for Arizona if Sioux Falls can go up 2 scores here. As we talked about earlier in the IFL, usually there's plenty of time to have some scoring opportunities late in the game.
Lorenzo Brown had a high snap from center, and whether it was designed or not, turned it into a quarterback keeper and picked up a couple yards, not afraid to put his head down. 10 years in the IFL League, like I said, he led the University of Sioux Falls to an NAIA championship, which head coach Curtis Riggs also did at the same university here in Sioux Falls.
And the fans have to love that as well. They get to know these players at the University of Sioux Falls and then see them play for their hometown professional team in the Sioux Falls Storm. And Brown has had a phenomenal career as one of the best really in IFL history. Throw on the right side, batted down. Nice play defensively, punched away by Dylan Winfrey.
Oh, that was textbook. That was textbook, because if Gauss would have had that reception, he would have picked up another first down. Clock continues to roll. Now it's 3rd down and 8. And the Storm, clock's down to 3:15 and counting. And for them to continue a drive would be huge for them and maybe force the Rattlers to take a timeout.
Clock bleeds under 3 minutes and a key 3rd and 7. Storm content to let the play clock run down. Patience. Brown, left side. Chavius is wide open. Inside the 5 and into the end zone. 6 passing touchdowns for Lorenzo Brown Jr.
Absolutely wide open. Breakdown on the defensive pass coverage by the Arizona Rattlers, and Lorenzo Brown laid it out perfectly. And Chavius quickly becoming a fan favorite here in Sioux Falls. Clock rolls during the point after touchdown. When this play is over, it'll be close to 2 minutes remaining.
And that is stressful for Arizona, down a couple possessions. They do have their timeouts. Vinatieri's kick is good. Sioux Falls hits the 50 mark, under 2 left, and the Storm up 12 now off the 6th passing touchdown of the game from Brown.
With teams from coast to coast and growing, we are the Indoor Football League. The IFL is the nation's longest continuously running pro indoor football league, and we want you to get in on the action. Visit goifl.com to watch games, learn about our players and coaches, and click on your favorite team's site for tickets and official team merchandise. Follow us on social media and visit goifl.com.
Second week in a row, Sioux Falls the site of our IFL Game of the Week on Stadium, and is not disappointed. Storm Came up short last week against Iowa, 56-36, but this time around against Arizona in a back-and-forth game, they built up a 12-point lead here in the fourth.
1:58 left to go on the clock. If Arizona scores, can you say onside kick? If they get the ball, possibly. If they score, they could try for the deuce inside of 1 minute, which is only 56 seconds away. So there's a lot of different scenarios going through the minds of these coaches.
Vinatieri squibs it left side, and it is controlled by Miles at the 10-yard line. He's going to try and reverse field, and he's thrown down at the 18-yard line by Harvard and company.
After the kickoff, the clock will stop until the teams have switched their units, and then Brad Bunting will whistle the play ready for play.
So a lot of different ways Arizona can still come back with 3 timeouts and time left with the deuce rule and onside kick and being creative. But to put it simply, they're going to need a touchdown this drive. It's a completion right at the sticks, and Miles gives himself up over the boards after a gain of about 9 yards.
But the clock continues to roll, because if you go into the boards yourself and stop the play, it doesn't stop the clock. So the clock is still running. 1:20 on this fourth quarter clock. 2 touchdowns to wield for Arizona.
Powell with time, throws underneath, and a completion to his favorite target, Harrington, and he gave himself up just outside the 10-yard line. So this clock will continue to run.
That time Harrington used the umpire as a perfect pick, and that allowed, stopped one of the defenders for the Storm, allowed Harrington to get outside as we go to the 1-minute timeout.
It's a 1-minute warning here with a 12-point game in Sioux Falls. 50-38 our score. Lorenzo Brown Jr. and Sioux Falls, a 50-piece on Arizona, and they're up 12. Rattlers in desperation trying to make a comeback. Right at the 1-minute warning in Sioux Falls. Back and forth throughout. The Storm have climbed ahead in this fourth quarter with a 50-38 advantage. They've scored the game's last 14 points. The Rattlers trying to stay alive. A completion, and he's down at the 1. That's Jeremiah Harris. That'll stop the clock. He got the first down and advanced the football. Drew Powell alerting his team. Sprinting up to the line, they go to Monroe, a whistle. They blew the play dead, so Monroe's run does not count as we wait for an announcement from Brad Bunting.
The officials are talking about it. I don't know if this might have been an inadvertent whistle.
It happens.
Because the referee had not cut the ball in. We were getting the down marker set. Still first down.
Did not have the down marker set yet, so everybody ready to go now. First and goal right at the 1. They will still run it to Monroe, but he's bottled up. The Storm have him in the backfield.
Clock continues to roll until Arizona calls a timeout, which they have.
They take one of their 3 timeouts, a crucial play defensively, blown up in the backfield by Kai Smith and company. So here's the quick completion over the middle of the field to Harris. That got it down to the 1. That was really close to, could have been called a touchdown maybe if they had reviewed it.
Yeah.
They tried the run to Monroe, who's usually a beast on the goal line, but Hendricks and Smith were there to knock him into the boards for a loss of 2.
They added 3 more seconds to the clock, so it's at 46.
Kevin Guy got in the official's ear after he had called his timeout. A few seconds ticked down. It's loud in here. It's hard to hear the whistles. ...2004, the last time Sioux Falls started a season 0-2. They're 0-1 this year.
Arizona will not be charged a timeout. Second and goal.
So Arizona will not be charged a timeout. They're going to give the timeout back to the Rattlers. 3 timeouts for Arizona, as Monroe was forced out. So a second and goal for Arizona. Powell. Plenty of time. Flags everywhere. Incomplete, and I think a holding or 2 against Arizona on the play.
Clock rolled down to 40 seconds left to go in the game in regulation. And here's Brad Bunty to tell us about the infraction.
Holding, offense, number 56. 10-yard penalty, previous spot. Replay, second down.
It's on the All-IFL center, Steven Garola.
You look at the body language out there. There's a lot of players, hands on their hips.
Yeah.
Both sides of the ball, they have extended a tremendous amount of energy in this game. And it's going to take a gut check now with 40 seconds left, trailing by 12. But that is not insurmountable by the Arizona Rattlers.
Especially with Arizona's 3 timeouts they have left. Second and goal at the 13. Powell pressured. Throws, almost picked, but caught inside the 5-yard line. That one complete to Miles on a nice catch.
But the clock rolls because it's not a first down.
Arizona electing to keep those timeouts, try and hurry it up, but we have a flag on the play. It's a false start against the Rattlers.
Sioux Falls might have called a timeout because they were in disarray, depending which infraction or timeout occurred first.
The near official had a false start signal, but you're right. Let's check in here with Brad Bunting.
Prior to any penalty, timeout Sioux Falls. This is their first charge timeout of the half.
So Sioux Falls, with their disorganization, inadvertently helping Arizona out a little bit that time. Brian Hermanson, the defensive coordinator, most importantly, making sure his team's on the same page.
Let's hear him, Storm fans. Let's hear it.
Coach Guy's team's ready to play, and he got seconds to navigate for 2 scores. And he's after the, he didn't really want the timeout because momentum was working to his advantage.
Don't forget, next week on Stadium, our IFL game of the week at 8 Eastern. The Bismarck Bucks are on the road as they play the Iowa Barnstormers. 2 teams that are off to great starts in their respective seasons. The Bucks at the Barnstormers on Stadium in our IFL game of the week next Saturday at 8 Eastern. 20 seconds left in this one. A 3rd and goal for Arizona out of the timeout. Powell, back of the end zone for Miles, overthrown, incomplete. With 16 ticks left. And a couple players shaken up. Miles for Arizona, but also famous Hasty on defense.
People see the padding on these walls. It's about 6 inches thick. But you go full impact, it's the hardest thing that you've hit.
The Sioux Falls player went flying over the boards. It was actually Solomon St. Pierre, and that poor kid took the brunt of that hit. His dad's on it. Hopefully he'll be all right. I'm not sure all the players are going to be okay coming out of this game. So many injuries. And that's Jamal Miles, one of the best receivers the Rattlers have, who's limping off the field.
So coming on for him is going to be Pelletier.
It's a big 6'3" presence in Pelletier down here at the goal line. Sioux Falls fans on their feet. A 4th and goal. Powell looking to run. Jukes, and he gets in for the touchdown. Only 10 seconds left, but Arizona still alive. Another touchdown for Powell. It's 4th of the game.
So it's a 6-point lead for the Sioux Falls Storm. 2-point conversion would make it 4. And a deuce would make it 2. And a stand would give a chance for a field goal. That's how all of these different scoring scenarios can filter out in the last minute of the first half or the minute of the first game. Now a 2-point conversion here attempt.
They're trying to go one step at a time here, going for 2. Toss play to the right to Monroe. The powerful back lowers his shoulder and he's in for 2.
Can you say onside kick?
Trying to get the ball back for one last chance. They have saved their timeouts, Arizona has, but not turned out to be that useful. 50-46 and a key touchdown for Powell down the stretch, keeping the Rattlers alive.
Go inside the association with Stadium. With NBA breaking news from Shams Charania.
You are continuing to break news, and this is big news.
Exclusive player and coach conversations and interviews.
Hey, you should come back to the Lakers. And then I'm here.
NBA prospect breakdowns and analysis from the experts.
He was terrific.
And in-depth information from NBA insiders.
2 of the best in the NBA.
Get your NBA fix with Inside the Association
on Stadium, your 24/7 home for sports.
Curtis Riggs and the Sioux Falls Storm in our IFL Game of the Week on Stadium, hanging on to a 50-46 lead. The Rattlers fresh off a touchdown drive, though. So for Arizona, what's the approach here trying to get the football back on this onside kick strategy?
You know, this kicker that's been around for a long time, Ernesto Lacayo, and if he would put up, there's a couple different ways. You could put it down into the ground, get a big high kick, and let your kicking team get underneath it. They can't touch it for 10 yards, but if it goes just over the first line of blockers, and if they can recover it, I've seen it where it actually is picked up in the air, run for a touchdown. So with an experienced kicker like this, either that or he could hit a golf web, just a lob shot, and do the same thing. We'll see what Lacayo does here. Storm is all going to get lined up and we'll see what happens. It's going to be an interesting 10 seconds.
Curtis Riggs saw how Arizona lined up and elected to take a timeout. So he's going to try and talk things over with his team, make sure everybody's on the same page. It's still early on in the season, so these are some of the kinks you work out with two teams that have a lot of new players. And that's where, whatever the win-loss result of this game is, all these teams around the IFL are going to make strides week by week because there's so many new players on their rosters.
Absolutely, Chris, and it's so early. Arizona has had the advantage over the Sioux Falls Storm in the regular season, but the Storm in the playoffs by one game is all 2-1. So there's a long season left, but right now, for both of these teams to make a statement in this contest, if Arizona can pull this thing off, it'd be one of the greatest 10-second comebacks in the history of the IFL. But it could happen. And for the Storm to come back and win, if they do, after last week's game, will be a remarkable turnaround. So this game has everything that we'd hoped for and more.
Lacayo, the onside. They didn't let it go 10. Arizona has the football, but I'm almost positive the Rattlers touched that football first.
That was the one onside kick scenario I didn't talk about, the drag punt. Like a drag bunt.
Right.
But this was a drag kickoff, and it can't be touched for 10 yards unless it's touched by the receiving team first.
Right. And Arizona touched that, looked like about 6 yards past the kick. So the penalty will be an illegal touching on Arizona. And wipe off that onside kick that they were able to recover. Also a heady play by Sioux Falls players to not get overzealous and jump in and touch that football before 10.
Now the rules that we talked about at the very beginning of this game come into play.
Kickoff team. That penalty declined. First down, Sioux Falls, spot of first touching.
Now, inside of 1 minute, the team with the football has to advance the ball, otherwise the clock will stop. But if they advance the ball, then it's going to force the other team to call a timeout. There's 10 seconds left to go. You can forego that rule and just go to a knee. But that's why there's no going to a knee in this league unless it is okayed by both coaches.
The official instructing the clock keepers to put it down to 9 seconds. A 4-point game here, so to your point, Rich, Arizona's best hope is to stuff Sioux Falls, don't allow them to advance the football, and you got to hope those 10 seconds don't run out.
9 seconds on the play clock, or game clock. 9 seconds on the game clock, please.
The Storm in the huddle talking things over. Kevin Guy's team got to be disappointing if they're going to come up short again against Sioux Falls, just the same as the 2019 United Bowl, in which Sioux Falls was able to come away with the victory. It's been an incredible rivalry between these two teams. If Sioux Falls can hang on here, Arizona still has the all-time lead at 5-4, but without fail, these teams play down to the wire almost every time.
Put it this way, Chris, it's not over.
Right.
I'm not calling this game until it's over, because a bad snap, a lot of things could happen.
Brown trying to run some clock out, lobs it out of play, and a smart call by Sioux Falls. That took 7 seconds off the clock, so it eliminates the need to advance the football if you take that much time throwing it away with 3 seconds left now. They'll probably do the same thing again.
But these teams are fiery teams, and this has been a huge game for the Sioux Falls Storm, and the Arizona Rattlers came in quite confident, especially after seeing Sioux Falls game last year. But we talked to Coach Guy, and this is nothing short of what he expected, is what Coach Riggs would have his squad ready.
Brown lets the clock run out as he fires this one about 12 rows high. A souvenir and a victory for the Sioux Falls Storm. Back and forth, down to the wire. The Storm hang on, 50-46, our final score. We hyped it up in our IFL Game of the Week here on Stadium, and it did not disappoint. What a game it was, back and forth. Sioux Falls back on track with their first victory of the season. We'll wrap things up when we come back to Sioux Falls after this. The Storm victorious over the Rattlers on Stadium. Well, what a game it was, the IFL Game of the Week on Stadium. Our final score, 50-46, a victory for the Storm over Arizona at home. The Storm losing last week to Iowa. They get back on track with a dramatic win over Arizona. What a game it was, Rich. What stood out to you?
The way it started. Sioux Falls Storm got the touchdown immediately. They got a rouge, they got an interception. They started with positive momentum, and many times it swung back and forth, but Sioux Falls Storm was able to hang on to that momentum and carry it all the way through. Lorenzo Brown with a classic Lorenzo Brown type of night, and Chavius did a fantastic job running the football, catching the football. Grouse, a lot of positive things happened for the Sioux Falls Storm in this contest.
6 touchdowns for Brown. Powell on the other side, the quarterback for Arizona, with 4 touchdowns. Well, thanks for joining us, Rich, IFL Hall of Famer. Rich Rosti here was with us for the first couple games on Stadium. We really appreciate you joining us.
I want to tell you what an honor it was for me to be selected to do this. I've been around the league 20 years doing radio, so it was a big stretch for me to do color. But I appreciate working with both of you during these last 2 weeks, and it has been a joy. And for me, in my stage of career, this is one of the pure highlights of broadcasting, being a part of a stadium broadcast.
It was an honor for me as well. Thanks for joining us from our entire stadium crew. Sioux Falls victorious over Arizona. I'm Chris Clayton. Join us next weekend. We'll have Iowa and Bismarck in our Game of the Week at 8 Eastern from Des Moines.